timelines. The discovery process per se is enabling this. The second shift that I want to talk about is business. Now, on business, no doubt we are no longer looking at a blockbuster drug defining value, but the shift is more towards instead of say how many patients are we that business is having today, and um, instead of looking at, for example, micro lab, right, for lack of a better example, again, we are not looking at one single pharma company doing things end to end. We are looking at innovation being borrowed from here and there. So that's on business. The third is patient. Now, patients today, they are living like kings in the era of retail, in the era of retail banking, for example, who are treating these patients like the most important person on earth. And when these patients go to hospitals, that's the exact same treatment they are expecting, which means don't give me a Me Too drug. Don't give me something which, just about anybody can have. What is in it that you're giving to me, which can actually help me personalize my treatment, right? So in that era, when patients are carrying data on their wrists, I'm wearing one, right? So I can go to my doctor, tell the doctor, hey, doctor, last night, I think I had an episode of atrial fibrillation. And my cardiologist would be like, oh, okay, how do you know that? Right. So in this era, I think patients are demanding more and more and more from their doctors, from the healthcare providers. So it's a era of new expectations when you would also like to uh, get personalized medicine. And also when we talk of, say, digital twins, for example, right? We can't wait forever for a new drug to come. Digital twins, agentic AI, all of this is helping us reduce the timelines. Lastly, and I'll pause after this in case anybody has questions, when I spoke about the structural impact of this shift. So the structural impact is more towards an orchestrated ecosystem, right? People like you, the universities, the academia, biotech, which provides innovation, pharma, which can provide scale, uh, all of these, and tech companies, right, which provide technology and the AI required for us to come to new drugs, better drugs. All of these need to work together as one integrated ecosystem for success to happen. It cannot be fragmented. Great. So to me, that's what.
Yeah. So I think everywhere we are talking about ecosystems as necessary, so that the end consumer or the patient really benefits from an ecosystem where he can access what he needs, when he needs, and how he needs it, because that is how they are accessing so many other services through the apps. You can select the blood test that you want, you can know what charge you want, and the guy comes home and collects the blood sample, and in 48 hours the results are there. So I think the whole spectrum of accessing healthcare for some segment of patients at least is changing dramatically. Those who have the smartphone are using it for all kinds of purposes. So you can get this. So it's an ecosystem that is available. The patient may preemptively do the diagnosis himself with the help of all these diagnostic labs, which are pushing their products to housing societies and all kinds of places through their apps and their physical presence. So Mohan, you've been a veteran on both sides. You've been on the pharma sector working with both the MNCs and then the Indian companies. And then now you have moved into a very niche area of AI almost 9 years back. When today we are talking about AI, you already been there. So can you tell us what's the impact of AI going to be on these various areas of this ecosystem? And the hype is always there because you have to raise funds. Without funds, you cannot raise, without hype, you cannot raise funds. So can you tell us what is really happening and where the impact of AI is going to be there?
Yeah. So thanks, Anup. I echo what Dr. Anju said. In the area of drug discovery and development, the AI has really played a measurable impact, right? So, for example, if you take pre-AI era, it took about 10 years for us to decode the genome sequence. But today, if you have to get it done, it does it in 5 hours. And it costed us $1 billion against today it can cost us only $1,000. And that's the power of AI. right? And if you take drug discovery, we are talking about precision medicine because our understanding of genome sequence has gone up. Of course, we are still understanding only 2% of the genome sequence. You can imagine what are the days to come. And AI is helping tremendously in designing the drug target, designing the drug and identifying the drug target as well as identifying the right patients. And when it comes to the drug uh, development in terms of the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 trials, as we know that, it has to come through those stages. Particularly in phase 1 study, as Dr. Anju was telling, there is a concept of this digital twins. There are in silico trials, and US FDA is at least right now they're accepting it as a supplementary data, if not as an independent data, and it has brought down the cost almost by 30%. Of course, the days are still far away for it to impact phase 3 trial, I would say. Uh, I see a tremendous scope for AI to, reduce the 3 problems we are trying to address there. One is the cost, because any new drug coming into the market, it will also already have a cost of $1.5 to $3 billion, right? And the second is the speed. It's very slow. It takes about 8 to 10 years for a new molecule to come in. And the third one is the failure rate. Only 1 out of 10 drugs which enter the clinical trial would come out successful. So these 3 factors, I'm definitely seeing an impact of, the AI. And apart from that, the repetitive task. Once the drug is already in the market, you need to do a pharmacovigilance. Those area AI has well entrenched. And I would say still there is a scope for improvement in LLM or generative AI space, because of generative AI is as good as the data beneath it or data under the hood. So that's where, it would take some time for to.
Can you give us some examples now from your company, Graphene AI, who are, you don't need to name your clients, but you can say at least whether they are in India or they're in the global scenario, and what's happening in the world versus in India. Where are we in terms of adapting AI in terms of real utility?
Yeah, I think they're at a very various stage of, adoption. In fact, I have seen them very closely, even much before, the generative AI models come into the scene, because we were trying to develop our own model, scraping doctors' conversations, patients' conversations, and trying to get the report out of it to address their business needs. So there we used to face a lot of hesitancy because they never believed it. Now the situation is slowly changing with LLM models being there. For example, models like Perplexity, they give the data along with the references, because in some of the models like Gemini or ChatGPT, if you ask the same question after 5 hours, it may come out with a different answer, right? So that credibility is going up now. And in terms of the marketing, see, the medical generation content, pharma is a very regulated field, right? So medical generation, content generation, it has a tremendous scope, but still it has to pass through a biggest bottleneck, I would say, the medical department, right? They would see each comma, full stop, references and all this. So it will take some time for that. And I think even the marketeer, for example, he has to definitely start using LLM because it's a huge efficiency improvement for him. For that to happen, so the underlying data, as I said, so it has to be good. And one more interesting thing which we had done with one of the clients of wearable health device company, right? They were capturing every minute 8 vitals data. Okay, so it is 8 per minute. Just imagine per day, it was 11,252 data points, if my maths is right, 1 or 200 here and there, right? So just imagine that sort of a data to be analyzed by either a patient or a doctor. It's a humongous task, right? So that is where the AI does it very well in terms of the pattern recognition. So it can predict where it could go wrong. So these are some of the areas, we have really seen definite improvement with AI.
So coming to you, Vardarajan, you have been on the wide spectrum of pharma functions from sales and marketing to analytics to SFE and commercial excellence. And now you're also looking at learning and development. So looking at all these changes, if there is one capability that is a non-negotiable or something that organizations and people, and especially the younger generation, need to have in the next generation, what would be that one capability that people and organizations need to develop?
Anup, thank you. Thanks for asking this question. Before that, I just wanted to add a few learnings which I had in the morning. Pharma, both global and India, is at an inflection point. Though we may call that, we are the global generic and we are proud of it, great. But unfortunately or fortunately, I think we have look at 3-4 levers, which is coming out is better outcomes for the patient.
Absolutely.
I think that's coming out very clearly. Complex therapies are emerging and you have no choices. And the third is integrated care. I think these 3 points coming in, when you said about, I do want to connect the points to data point, when this is going to be my future in India, I think the talent also should emerge. So one of the points which comes out is, should I completely revamp the existing talent and bring in something new? I don't think so that's possible. What we need to do is, how can I retrain our existing people towards the requirement? Say, for example, in an R&D folks, or if you take marketing, or you get into any of the key innovation areas, I think what we generally do is, many a time we get into the mundane rut of many of the areas. And that's where I think the new AI emerging and some of the areas we could look at and we are good at it, but how do we structure it and take towards the particular goal will be important. Now, coming to this requirement, what I look at it in an organization which is there is, we should select a gamut of people who have a leverage for the future potential, look at retrain them to the scope which is possible. And there would be another set of job, like for example, biosimilars or medical R&D expertise. These are the areas where I think we need to really hire those skills, get it clearly towards the expectation line. And this amalgamation of these two put together is going to emerge as a new organization for the future requirement, from the volume to the value game, which is going to be the future. Second is, with this particular journey, India has the potential, because one is we have the talent, already inherited talent. There are a lot of academia which is available who are ready to support. One of the area, to answer your question straight, is rather than pushing boxes, I think it should go into the more of a patient value per patient. That mindset shift has to come at the strategic leadership level at Pharma. The second important aspect, which clearly should be the game plan, which is going to be when you're going at value and you're going at innovation, I think the whole game plan will also change. I think with that, the talent will start emerging. I think with this point, one clearly comes out, what is the talent I want to scout for? One of the bottleneck also, I will tell you what is happening. When I am already positioned very well with huge volume game, I am the global pharmacy, why should I just suddenly jump? And there's a big change management. When this is going to be there, when I'm comfortable, should I move? Should I really take a jump towards it? But in this particular game, there will be few emerging players coming out, which is not known today. There will be pharma companies, there will be some leadership, which will suddenly abruptly come, which I just saw how Vikrant told very clearly. ChatGPT took hardly few years, and Netflix took so many years, and then other things took, LinkedIn took more. So same journey is going to emerge very shortly. And then the talent cohort, which is going to come out of this, is going to be tested very hard. I think that emergence, we will see in not many years, within another 5-6 years, you can start seeing it. at least at R&D level, innovation, technology search, and analytics, data science. I think this is very clearly showing the way that you have no option because global pressure is going to be immense. I think that's what I would say from the point that you asked.
Yeah. Dr. Anju, you have some thoughts on what is that one capability that will really make a difference? Because we are now talking about from the patient perspective, when we come, we are looking at real world evidence. We are looking at health economics, outcomes research, things and concepts that are not Indian pharma and Indian healthcare is so familiar or comfortable with. But we eventually have to move there because governments will ask us, if government is the provider of healthcare, government will ask us to demonstrate that if you have used this drug, then what is the outcome of this drug? In the case of a vaccine, it is abundantly clear to prove the outcomes. In case of polio, we are saying that we have become a polio-free nation now. So, even all kinds of drugs and diagnostics ultimately will have to demonstrate outcomes because government is increasingly becoming the key spender in healthcare. So, from that perspective, what are the one capability that we need to develop in the next 10 years?
I think Dr. Varadarajan has really dealt with this question in detail, but I can only support what he said. In addition to the point that he brought out, one thing which is very relevant is, at least to the people in this room, especially the students, is adoption of AI. Right? Now, the one capability that I feel everybody, each one of us, should have in us is that adoption. Now, the question, and in my role in my company, I usually get this question from people that, are you going to replace people with AI? Well, that's not how it will be, right? In no domain, this is true, especially in science. But will AI make no impact on jobs or no impact on people? Well, that's not true as well. Now, if I look at scientists, especially, right, will AI replace scientists? No. Scientists who work with AI will replace scientists who do not work with AI. And that's true for all domains. So I think the one thing that we should all be very, very welcoming for is the new technology. Work with youngsters in whatever role you're working in. If you're a teacher, if you're a professor, have open ears with the youngsters in your class, in your room. Likewise, for people at senior levels in your companies. The evidence is there for all of us to see, very clearly brought out by Dr. Mohan as well, in shrinking the timeline of discovery and clinical trials. Right? The whole impact that electronic health records are having in creating placebos, right? Synthetic external controls. We had not thought about it earlier, ever. It's only because of AI that it became possible that today FDA is accepting those as an evidence to sort of approve new indications for existing drugs and also for primary approvals for rare diseases. So this is a big change and it is in the benefit of all of us. So that one thing that I think everybody should adopt is new technology.
Great. So Varadarajan, I'll come back to you again because you made a very important point that the current management or the current, say, let us say the CEO, he has his own set of targets, right, which has to achieve. And if you look at the lifespan of CEOs, it becomes very evident it is becoming shorter and shorter. So if he is entrusted simultaneously with what he has to deliver in the near and medium term, as well as look at a distant horizon of 10 years, obviously he will, disrupt the other one, the long-term one. So what are your thoughts on this, as that are we going to be stuck with incremental changes, or disruptors are going to come completely from outside? Now, if you look at technology, Google and Microsoft were the top players in terms of, but the disruption didn't come from them because they did not see AI coming in such a big disruptor. It's a totally unknown company called ChatGPT and DeepSeek from China, and others coming in the space. And so, is the future going to come from the existing company? And if so, what is the transition that we have to make? Because transition is not something that you can take like an armband and stick it over here and it begins to work. People talk about resilience, people talk about emotional intelligence as if it's a cap that you can wear. It's a lived experience over a period of time by which you become emotionally intelligent. So what is your take on that from an L&D perspective is to how do we make this shift?
Anup, very, very clear. If I see what keeps the CEO awake in the night, evidently clear that if I look at the growth and the competition with low margins and high volume, a CEO, if you ask, typically he wants to change the whole thing because he looks at speed and the profitability. So I think when it comes to these two game plan, very evidently clear, he has to use technology. Again, I think it's reinforced. He has no other go, but if he's not going to leverage on technology and people, both, because you can't have only technology and say who is going to use it, who is going to leverage it, it comes out openly and clearly. What I see, one of the major milestone which is there in pharma, which is going to be there, today if you take 70 to 80% of Indian companies, they have only played in a volume game. What's surprising to me is now that if you take the top 10 companies, they have started building brand because of the accessibility in India. They also understood that this will create a differentiation, even the minutest thing, which is going to make the change. Now, this is where they have to fine tune it. For that, you require a lot of support functions to act, including HR for capability, marketing to make that intelligence, looking at the key lever that how can I speed is one of the lever which many of us miss out is the logistics and supply chain. They will use AI. I can bet on you that it's going to happen is they will use for demand planning. For example, what the CEO expects from the supply chain is, I want to reduce the inventory by 15, 20, improve less wastage, but see that it's available on time everywhere. So these are going to be the growth levers, which was not seen as one of the things. They were always seeing as sales and marketing done, push the boxes, done. But how do I define a customer? What is the science behind it? How do I differentiate myself from the competition along with the science? Because you'll agree today, there are UCPMP law coming in. Very clearly, your choices are limited. Boundaries are very clearly drawn, and we need to differentiate ourselves in the marketplace. I think these are going to be the way the talent will be hunt and the CEO will have to work on this. That is my opinion.
Great. So, Mohan, from AI and global insights leadership perspective, I believe you are interacting with global companies, pharma companies, leadership for AI and other things related to that. Where do you see the biggest disconnect? And how do we close the gap between AI generated insights and real world clinical and commercial outcomes?
So I would like to address this question in two parts. One from a HCP or a doctor perspective. See, there is a very interesting data. In the US, if you look at the top 3 causes of death, in the US, if you look at the top 3 causes of death, you'd have guessed the first cause, right? Because it's the land of burgers and Coke, cardiac events, right? And the second one is cancer. And the third one, the major contributor for the third one is the MD prescribed medicine. Overuse, wrong use, right? Wrong indication, drug interactions. And there was a survey done by Stanford University. They studied the decisions made by the doctors, 1,188 decisions over a period of 7.5 days. And they found 80% of them to be not having a published data evidence. So where is the gap? So how do you equip the decision enablement at the point of care? So that is where, the AI can play a major role in terms of, at the HCP level or a doctor level. And when it comes to the patient level, I see a very clear shift in the patient behavior. Because, again, Edelman had done one survey. They surveyed around young adults of 38 to 44 years. Sorry, 38 to 44 years, yes. And 45% of them said, after using LLM, we know as much as the doctor knows. So where it is taking us, because we are living with a generation who wouldn't have seen a travel agent, who wouldn't have gone to a bank, or don't even know how does that
The real world
function. Yeah. And everything is served to them in a very systematic, organized way in a platform, right? Be it e-commerce or quick commerce, whatever it is. So true patient centricity is going to come, whatever we have been talking for the last 10, 20 decades. I'm sure it's going to come in the next 5 to 10 years. Medicine also is going to be, healthcare is also going to be a self-servicing model, and which will be aided by the AI. So that is the change, that's what I'm visualizing very soon, which is enabled by AI.
I think excellent. So we are all agreed that AI is going to play a critical role in reimagining not just pharma, but the entire life of a consumer, in which healthcare is a part. We are seeing now education, how the children are adapting AI to do their homework. I also work for a school. So during the COVID years, we had all digital classes for 2 years. And after they came back, there used to be a funny cartoon which says that, now, Papa, how do I mute the teacher when I go to the physical class? So education, so that you really cannot evaluate the change that technology is having. My 3-year-old granddaughter knows to change the screen on a phone. Every day, that's her first job. She gets up and the screen has to be something new. And the only thing she enjoys seeing video is of herself taken by her parents. And she's just 3 years and she knows how to unlock it. She knows, the zigzagging way. So we really cannot fathom what the next generation is going to do. I think the responsibility of each of us as leaders or as seniors is to facilitate the youngsters, the next generation. Instead of saying, don't use that phone, is to tell them, how do you really use that phone as an effective tool? So with that, I will close the session. If there's any questions, we will answer those questions. Any questions? I think all of you are very hungry, and the only question for you is that what's on the menu? Okay, I think both you made a very interesting observation saying that, the burger and those kind of lifestyle, they produce cardiac disease and metabolic disease and obesity in the Western world. Now, we were predominantly an infectious disease, market. If you look at the ORG or IMS or now Pharma Track data, except in the last 2 years, I think anti-infectives used to dominate the market. Now, for the last 3 to 5 years, Mixtard was #1, Glycomet was #2, and not any small volume. They were 500 crores. I mean, Novo Nordisk is simply a brilliant company at the end of the day, So it's really fascinating to see that, in a way, whether we like it or not, the coming of cardiac diseases and obesity to India is an indirect reflection to say that we are also becoming a developed country. With all the parameters of GDP and everything else, but this is also a parameter to say, look at the diseases that we are having now. When I was growing up, deworming was one of the main things because, we were playing in the soil. And then we used to have ringworm, so eczema, we had all these BTEX and what are the creams to apply. They're all gone now, Children at a very young age now are having mental health issues. So the Western world is slowly, whether we like it or not, it's a different thing. But I think the same disease profile of a developed world is coming to India. And in that respect, we are a developed world. So like the developed world has adopted AI in a very big way, India also needs to adopt it in a big way. So thank you very much for patiently listening to us. Have a great lunch.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for those enriching insights. It was fascinating to hear the shift towards advanced therapies being balanced with the core pillars of affordability and accessibility, highlighting the impact of shift from chemistry-led models to biologically led discoveries. Then the importance of skilled trainings required for complex therapies and integrated treatments, along with the importance of having major focus on the patient-centric outcomes. Concluding with the impact of AI in drug discoveries, personalized and precision medicines, along with reimagining the entire healthcare delivery system. Thank you. We now take a moment to express our appreciation to our esteemed panelists for their valuable insights. May I request our moderator, Mr. Anup Sohn, kindly felicitate our panel members for their valuable contribution to this discussion. I further request Dr. Rajeshwari, Associate Professor, to felicitate our moderator, Mr. Anup Sohn's appreciation for his insightful perspective. A bit more attractive and interactive, we have a fun quiz lined up for all of you. I request Dr. Naina to take the stage and conduct for the quiz.
Very good afternoon. Just to keep all of you. Yes. We have a quiz. Yes. At the end of the quiz, we have prizes to be given away also. Just to make it interesting, memorable, because the prizes. And second thing is, we have a lot of interesting sessions happening. So post kind of so let us not fall asleep. Let us be more attentive in the sessions. So since morning we have had a lot of discussions happening. So let's check how attentive all of you were. And if you please raise your hand and answer it, you will be given the prize. If it is in a bus, you have chocolates and water bottles on the table. So please raise your hands if you know the answer. The right answer will be given away with prizes. So at the end of every panel, we have 4 to 5 questions. With a prizes. And the questions are not just coming out of the panel discussion that is happening now, but whatever you think is a sense point. To begin with, first question is, what is the third important cause of US as discussed by except for Ushama, anybody can answer. What is the third important cause of death? Yes, sir. You can please come. Sorry, he was the first to raise the hand. If he goes wrong, I'll give the chance to the next person. So what is that? What is the third important cause of death as discussed in the panel? Madam, this is the person. He raised, is it?
When the doctors are prescribing
He gave away half the answer. Sir, I'll give you the next chance. Don't mind. Yes. Yes.
when doctors are prescribing wrong medicine.
So what happens when the doctors are prescribing wrong? You'll get a prize. Please come. Come on, please. She wanted the session to be interesting. So she said, no, we'll have quiz at the end of every session. Yes. Session in the morning, I would like to ask, what is our rank in global innovation index? I said you're not doing this. You missed one question. No, the answer was right actually. But she is not getting the prize. I've told you, please raise, stand up and then ask because it becomes a mass answer. You lost that. I wish you would. The answer was right. Please don't answer that way. Yes. One of the things discussed about one of the government projects that was prepared by our finance minister. Yes, please. Pharma Shakti. Yes, you get a prize from one of our guests, please. Congratulations on that. And from the panel discussion which happened just now, there was a definite number when the guest spoke about how AI is helping them out in analyzing the data. He gave two different numbers. One is a single digit number, the number of data, and the other is a 5-digit number. So if you can give me that single digit number, you'll get one prize. If you give me the second 5-digit number, you'll get 2 prizes. So that is a bonus. So what was the number he discussed? He said that these many data were generated. Yes, please come. These many data were generated in a minute. And guess what happens in a day? How can it is humanly impossible to analyze the data. So what was the number? Yes, one prize. Congratulations, you get that right. Wow. You're analytically very sound, sir. You're a student, I'm sure you did really well. So please. So done for the minute now. Please be attentive in the panel discussion. Or you have one or two more questions. Yes, you have two more questions. Since morning, there was discussion about one branch of medicine which saw an overnight growth during COVID. Like Netflix and LinkedIn. Come on. You're a student, is it? Please come. Yes, give the student a chance. So what is that branch of medicine that saw an overnight growth during COVID? Applause. And sir, can you please give him the prize? Your name, please? Yes, that's really, really nice. And now we have an abbreviation. So I, since morning, because I don't belong to Pharma, I was decoding what the abbreviations were. Like sir told I don't, I'm also like out of belong out of the box. So because I have to keep these, I have to be attentive. I'm writing my notes, and I listed a lot of abbreviations. So you can also check with these how good are this. So since morning, there was one presentation which gave an abbreviation which goes like this, that is RW. What does RW? The presenter is smiling because she knows the answer. But I can't give you the prize. But you can give the prize. Yes, yes, sir. One second. Students class. Yes. Right. Who's coming? I'm very happy that everybody is attentive in discussions today. So, all of you can head towards the dining hall for lunch. And post lunch, we will have two more discussions of the panel. Thank you.
Many people complain post-lunch session is a very difficult session. I say it is the most convenient session. Guess why? Well, you get very few questions. So in a way, you can finish fast and you don't get any questions. I am Dr. Bhaskar, a physician by education. Then a leap of faith, I moved into healthcare technology good 20 years back and then been there for quite some time. I've been tasked to lead the Center of Excellence for Health Tech and MedTech for the government of Karnataka. The slides look very bad because of the resolution. Don't worry. Okay, so a quick question. This is a 1 trillion number. Anybody wants to take a guess? Why am I showing this number? Rather $1 trillion. Somebody said health tech industry. Yeah. Any other guesses? Eli Lilly's revenue. That's information for me. I didn't know that. Very close. Rather, it's the medtech industry worth about $1 trillion. It's about 1/3 of India's GDP, right? So that's the size of the medtech industry. Okay, thank you. This is approximately 2%. Why do I think I put 2%? No, you're right. India's contribution to the $1 trillion, what we're talking about. But India contributes a good 20% of world population, but we contribute only 2%. The potential is huge. If we are a 1.4 billion population and contributing 2% to the medtech ecosystem or the dollars, we are not doing something right. So if you look at the real numbers, so 660 billion is what we're talking about and projected to 1.1 trillion. 50 billion is what is expected from India. But one thing what we'll have to really look at, even before jumping there, is the 14% CAGR. If you look at most of the industries, the growth rate is less than 10%. This is one area where we are looking a growth of 14 to 15%. People are even expecting beyond 15% CAGR growth for medtech devices. This has not happened in any other devices. What we are looking at is a UPI kind of movement which will happen in healthcare through medtech devices. Okay, so from morning we have had, so even before we get to these numbers, we've had multiple discussions about data. Where is the data coming from? How do you handle data, AI, etc., right? So can anybody guess what is the percentage of health data among all the data which is coming in the world? Quick numbers. Anybody wants to take a guess? 2-3%? Somebody says 2-3%. Anybody else wants to bet? Less than 10? 40%? 40%? Any other numbers? Wearable would increase it, of course. Anybody else? This is overall health related data of the, if I say 100 is the total number, what percentage of 100 is coming from health? All domains, health data, health related data. It can be wearable, it can be EMR, whatever data.
Something of 1 gigabyte of data.
True.
Now, how much is structured, how much is registered and stored, that's matter. So compared to banking, which is one of the most dominating data sector, they're just transactional data, one line, right? But next gen is a question of 1%. Now think about that. It's growing, it's depend, but I would say
Number
would be, I would say some 30-40% purely given by some progressive countries.
On dot, right? So somebody said 40, somebody said 30-40. It's 33% data of all the world data is coming from health. Just imagine all of us are complaining we don't have access to health data, but 33% of all the data in the world is just health data. Imagine if we get access to this data and what will happen to the medtech device and the AI world, what we're talking about, how it will transform what we are doing with respect to care. Now coming back to numbers, right? So I love numbers. I've been a topper in math, but went into medicine. So troubling you guys with numbers now. So that's again, $1 billion. So what does this billion represent? So billion is the number of mobile users in India, which essentially means every single person who is holding a phone today, every single person who is accessing a bot today, every single person who is talking to a chatbot in rural India has access to some kind of healthcare services, and he is uploading some kind of data. And the below number, around 1.5 crores, is mostly urban. These are all people like you and me who are wearing smartwatches and roaming around. That's the smartwatch data just of India. That's 1% of Indian population who is using a smartwatch to track their health. That's the amount of data which is getting loaded into the cloud every single day. Why am I talking all of this? The whole idea is to represent the change in the trend, how we are approaching and looking at the healthcare ecosystem itself, right? So all this while, what we have been looking at as hospital administrators is build, operationalize, transfer. I was just talking to Muthu during lunchtime also. This has been a model which is living for good decades. You buy a device, you hand it over to the hospital, they'll run it for you. And you actually, you're hands off. That doesn't work anymore because your dependency on softwares is increasing. So when we are looking at what is tomorrow's medtech, it cannot be just a device and sell it to the hospital. You will have to look at platforms. We have seen device as a handover, and then we saw a lot of SaaS coming up. The moment we say software, all of us talk about software as a service. Today, we are moving even further from that. We are talking about platform as a service. My friend was talking about genetic data. So genetics cannot work as a software as a service. It's moving into platform as a service because it is transforming. So that's how it is moving. The next stage is actually resource as a service. So you'll have to provide multiple resources because the kind of resources required to run these systems is very, very different from the kind of resources what have been running the systems earlier. Why am I saying this? Again, if we are into medtech environment, what we have been doing and what we are selling will significantly change in the next 2-3 years. Now, the next point, all of us, when we say healthcare, we think about hospitals, which is changing, right? So today we are not looking at just hospitals. Today, everything is around the patient and home care, and how can you take healthcare services to the patient, not dragging a patient to the hospital, right? So how many of you have heard of Niramai? Any of you heard of Niramai? Yeah, see, quick 2-3 hands going up there, right? So Niramai is a AI-enabled breast cancer screening device, which has grown significantly in the past 2-3 years. Why? Not just because breast cancer is one of the biggest killers in India among women, but because it can actually take the device where the patients are, at their home, near the PHCs. Because getting a woman to a hospital for a mammography, it's a task. Not just because the services are not available, the stigma. A woman really does not walk into a mammography center and get a scan done. How do you solve that problem? Devices are going to where the patients are. That's where the med device market will really move towards. We spoke a lot about the third point with respect to AI-enabled and software-defined devices. CDSCO, FDA, EU, CE, all of them are building their regulations around how can you make software as a medical device, specifically AI as a medical device. If you look at how FDA has been approving devices, a significant percentage of them have been around SAMDs. Even though today a lot of these are around radiology-related stuff, 60-65%, if I'm not wrong, is around radiology, but it is changing. Cardio is taking over very slowly, but oncology is taking over. CRISPR is picking up significantly there. So beyond all of this, what also matters is when we were building a lot of these systems. See, I am a radiologist, practiced in hospitals even before jumping into administration. Most of our systems were siloed. So when I'm building a medtech device, if it's in cardio, it worked within cardio wonderfully well. Cardiologist loves it. But when it has to transfer to transplant surgeon, it really did not happen. You had to write something and send it out to him. So how are you building these interoperable systems? That's what a platform as a service really builds, right? So there are multiple platform businesses which are coming up, integrating legacy systems and also the new age system. These are med devices by themselves. Platforms themselves are becoming med devices today. That's what we'll have to look at. Again, another point, it's a wonderful theme. You have called it augmented intelligence. multiple places when I'm giving talks, when somebody asks me what is artificial intelligence in healthcare specifically, what I say is artificial intelligence today has still not reached a stage where it has become artificial intelligence among doctors or healthcare. It is still augmented intelligence. It is only augmenting the way we can really deliver care. What we'll have to really focus while we are using AI or building these devices is how can you further augment? So that's one area clinically, if we are building something in medtech, if you are really augmenting something instead of wraparounds, we have lot of wrappers from schedule management to calendar management to OPD management. Move beyond all of this when you're building a medtech device. Focus on how can you really augment a service what a doctor is providing. Some areas, a lot of students were asking me these questions. Some areas, where should we focus upon as students for tomorrow? Now, you have clinical AI and diagnostic. This is one area which is significantly growing. So if you guys get a chance, walk into the corridors of CCamp here, walk into corridors of NCBS, IISc. So you'll see significant innovations happening here. The kind of technologies which are getting grown is amazing, rather mind blowing, right? So today morning, I'm not sure if you guys have heard of, anybody has heard of Dognosis? You heard of Dognosis? Wonderful. So I have one hand going up. So Dognosis is a very nice technology. Today morning, they actually had a field day where they had open house for everybody to visit the dog kennels and see and know what Dognosis is doing. So Dognosis is a company which is using AI and dogs to diagnose, rather triage and pre-diagnose cancers. A very simple mechanism. Dogs are very good in spelling, all of us know. So we are made to wear masks, and the masks are collected and presented to the dogs to smell. So dogs are smelling these masks and actually predicting cancers. They are saying it is about 97% accurate. They're running trials as of now. It's working in Israel. They're trying this out. So that's where it is moving. So if it works, it's very cheap and very easy if it works. Digital therapeutics. So we have moved leaps and bounces with respect to digital screening and digital diagnostics. Digital therapeutics is one area where things are changing. I was just mentioning about CRISPR. CRISPR is really changing the way with respect to digital therapeutics. Genomics, genetics is actually moving the needle very fast, right? So remote patient monitoring, there was an award during the quiz given that how telemedicine really changed the world during COVID. I think remote patient monitoring, Cloud Physician is doing amazing job. They're Bangalore born. So those kind of things. Surgical and care robotics. Robotics is another area where India is really contributing very, very big. Any of you guys in the medtech space want to build for tomorrow, focus on how can you build these accessories for existing robots and also build an India-born robot. So that there is a very big market because we cannot really afford a lot of Da Vinci's. If you can build, there is one competitor for Da Vinci in India. There can be many more. Precision and personalized treatment with AI and the kind of genomic access what we are building, this will be the future. This will be for tomorrow where we can not necessarily only treat Indians. We can build these platforms and actually treat the world with precision medicine. Interoperability and FIRE, we all know about ABDM, how it is transforming access to healthcare and also building that data stack and data layer. So that's another area. Cybersecurity. So how many of you have heard of DPDP? Very small number. Surprised. I should ideally be seeing all hands going up. If you are healthcare administrators and if you're not heard of DPDP, you have 2 months more. Please be well aware of what DPDP is talking about, because if you are working on patient data, if you are working on health tech or medtech and collecting even single patient data, better be aware of DPDP. So this is from the backyard, right? So when we are talking about medtech and health tech, I have not put up any major companies here very intentionally. We have big pharma, big medtech companies who are in our backyard, but these are companies which happened in the past 5 years or around that 5-year time, right? So Muthu is here from Tricog, but all of these guys, how many companies of these, any of these companies you guys recognize? Pure AI? So most of these companies, you believe it or not, they either were born in Bangalore or incubated in Bangalore or still have a significant part of their business based out of Bangalore. Right? So for many years, Bangalore has been the ecosystem which is brewing such kind of talent in medtech. The idea is, with the kind of people sitting in this room, can we really make Bangalore the Boston of medtech? So we have been the Silicon Valley, we have been the capital of many other things. Can Bangalore be the capital of medtech too? It's really possible. There might be very soon the first unicorn in healthcare coming out of one of these guys. The ecosystem, why is this happening, right? So when you have so many guys popping out of just one city in India, why is this happening? So like I was saying, so you guys should visit some of these centers. CCAMP has a wonderful ecosystem starting from early stage research, translational research to diagnostics, validation, etc., etc. Bangalore Bioinnovation Center is possibly one of the biggest incubation spaces for pharma related research, and it is free to access. Please look up, visit. Charaka is something what I'm leading. It's very new. We are running acceleration programs, incubation programs. We have funding programs where we'll fund. IKP has a beautiful facility in Bangalore and a much bigger facility in Hyderabad. Art Park is the AI and robotics tech park. We focus on AI and robotics based innovation. There is significant amount of money. We recently funded a huge amount on a couple of healthcare organizations, one on the AI space, one on the robotics space, building the rehab suite. FSID, again, IISc, Tanu is a AI Center of Excellence set up by Ministry of Education, focused on healthcare, specifically on non-communicable diseases. Derby, if you know, Derby is in Dayanand Sagar, so they are focused on healthcare. IIMB NSR Cell has been doing some amazing work with respect to acceleration of early stage ventures. Enapoya has a beautiful center. If you are in Bangalore, IIT Bangalore, again, Electronic City. Kasturba is in Bangalore, again. So beyond Bangalore, we also have AMTZ, IIT Madras, Delhi. There are so many centers, but unfortunately, the awareness among innovators in the medtech space has been limited. So I would suggest, please go access, figure out, and they have open doors. It's not like you need to have access, you need to know somebody, nothing like that. If you walk in tomorrow, you say, I'm a researcher, I'm a student in medtech space, they will allow you to discuss and also interact and see if there are opportunities for you to work there. Another biggest problem, like you have startups, you will say, oh, these guys raised money, they did it big. Then you say, okay, this is government ecosystem, not really easy to access, etc., etc. But everybody will say, I don't have money if I want to build something, which is false. You speak to any big government department or funders. I speak to a lot of funders on almost on a daily basis, right? So big funders, they're all sitting on a very big check. They want to write it. Unfortunately, we have startups, but unfortunately, we are not communicating to the right people in the right way. Government itself is sitting on a lot of money. When I say a lot of money, it is like lakhs of crores of money in this space. Lakhs of crores. How do you access it? You just need to visit all of these websites. Be aware, look at all these websites. If not, I'll share my contact details. You ping me, I am happy to share all these details. All of them are sitting on a lot of money. If you are an innovator, a student who wants to start a startup in medtech, at least one space where you should go is the MedTech Mitra website. It actually comprehensively collects all the data at the central government level, which it has, right? So, and these are some of the leading investors in this space who have been investing significantly more than many other investors, specifically in the medtech space in the past few years. If you are a startup, if you are in the medtech space, if you want to raise money, some names what you need to focus on. Spoke a lot if we are looking at accelerating. So I was mentioning about UPI movement in health tech and medtech, what we should really look at, right? So this is something what we should really focus upon. Why am I saying there is going to be a UPI movement is because of this money and the number of startups which are building up, and a platform like ABDM, which is integrating everything within healthcare data access, and already the AI diagnostic platforms, which is helping collect this data and transform across multiple states. So this will really, really change the way we are treating patients today. there are some challenges, right? So when we are doing all of this, there will be hands going up in the sense regulatory, there are challenges. How do I monetize this? I really don't know, etc. Yes, we accept there are some challenges. Regulatory is one of the biggest thing, not because of non-existence of guardrails, but understanding of these guardrails. Do we really understand how do you traverse through CDSCO, FDA, CE, etc., etc.? What am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? Who is the person I'm supposed to talk to? Can I speak to the government? Is there a consultant? These are questions, but it is getting, as we speak, these are all getting ironed out. But there are organizations where you can reach out. Of course, this is one area where we need to really talk about. Somebody was even in the morning speaking about RWE, real world evidence. So that's one area which is growing again. So we had very few regions or organizations who are generating RWEs. Now today we have many more who are generating this kind of data, which will help if you are a medtech or a AI-driven organization to access. Ethics, data, and workspace, I mentioned about DPDP. There are other regulations which are also going to come specific to healthcare. There was Sahi, Bodhi, which were launched during the AI India Impact Summit. Be well aware of all of this. This will help. Business model adoption. One single thing before I close on all of this is, if you are building something or buying something in the medtech space, one point what you need to be really, really aware of is when you go talk to a hospital administrator and you say, this is the device which I've got new, which is going to change the whole way your hospital is functioning. His worry is going to be one thing. Where will this fit on my P&L? This can change everything. You can be 99% accurate, rather 101% accurate. This might be giving a diagnosis better than what the doctor is doing. It doesn't really matter for the administrator so much. For him, what really matters is, where will this fit on my P&L? So if you're building your business model and adoption beyond all the patient centricity, doctor centricity, hospital centricity, you look at where this will really fit into the P&L. If you solve that problem, your business model will stick. If not, it will fail. And again, last thing before I move on is, we as entrepreneurs or business leaders have a very big problem. I call this problem as pilotitis. So, yeah. So why do I call it pilotitis? Because we don't lack innovations. The number of innovations popping out of this land is humongous. But unfortunately, a lot of these innovations die at the pilot stage, which should not happen. So please focus to move beyond the pilots. All the ecosystems, all these things, what I've been showing is for you to look at and see how you want to move from pilot to actually a product. Your product is the one which will really solve the problem, not the pilot. Don't lose enthusiasm at the pilot stage. If you are building something, try to move beyond the pilot. That's about it. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's my LinkedIn if you want to scan. Did I do well on the time? Anybody has any questions? I was right. Post launch it is easier. There is a question. You proved me wrong.
Yeah, had two specific questions in place. So the first one is, we're talking about adoption of AI, but if you were to look at the recent trends that are currently happening, so most of the organizations that go about having this AI in place, they're going about acquiring the healthcare or startups. So they do have a first step advantage. So one is, how would we go about leveraging, like how would early startups, other than, like for example, ChatGPT, it has access to everything that we go about asking them, even medical questions. They have an early advantage. We even don't know the privacy concerns over there. So that was the primary question. How do early startups survive in this given scenario?
So you said specific question, but it was very broad. I'll come to the specific of, if there is a ChatGPT whom you are competing with and you are building something using AI to solve a problem in a healthcare system, how will you fight really with the big guns like ChatGPT, right?
Yeah, right.
You should not be fighting with them. Why do you want to fight with them? You really cannot fight. We are nowhere in the stage to fight with somebody like a Google or a ChatGPT or anybody. The kind of models what they have built, if I want to build those models, it will take at least another 20 years for me to build, or the kind of money what is required, I'll have to sell the whole country to build it. It's not possible. Please don't fight with these guys. Try to utilize the models what they have developed. These models are amazing. So try to utilize those models. what is required if you want to really have an advantage as a startup, figure out, build solutions which can collect this kind of data, what is required to train these models. Today, we don't have that kind of data. Even though we have 30% of data from healthcare, how much of this data can really be used to train these models is a question mark. Most of the startups in this space, specifically in AI, who are presented and even CDSU approved in India, unfortunately have been using a lot of international data to train their models. Can you build solutions which can help doctors to collect this data, train their own model? Can you build a solution which can sit in my clinic, which can help my patient? You will win. I'll more than happy for me as a physician to use my own hospital-centered model rather than going to ChatGPT and asking those questions. It's possible. More question?
Yeah, I had one more question in place.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, we are talking about AI and leveraging it. Right now, if you were to look at the infrastructure, we may not be having it like to support the next big move over here. So we also need to have fundings in that specific scenario for the country to move at the aspect of other developed countries in place.
So India, rather the India AI mission, and also there are a lot of funds under RDI, ANRF, etc. The recent promise also is around 10,000 crore is being sanctioned. India AI Stack has a lot of money, and DBT, Pharma, all of them actually are putting a lot of money setting up these data centers and helping solutions build these kind of necessary stuff related to AI research. They're actually giving like significant GPU credits.
No, like the infrastructure itself.
They're building. So that's what, in a sense, 10,000 crore is to build data centers.
Okay. So it's in a work in progress.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening session, and thank you for highlighting how medtech devices are implemented in healthcare system and insights on AI, digital therapeutics, remote patient monitoring, and genomics, which is making healthcare more precise and patient-centric. I would like to invite Dr. Jyoti Vijay, Assistant Professor, IIHMR Bangalore, to honor the contribution of Dr. Bhaskar Rajakumar. We now move forward to our next panel discussion, India's GCC's revolution, reshaping the global pharma landscape. GCCs have evolved from support units into global innovation hubs. This session explores how they are now driving India's strategic transformation and competitiveness in the pharma sector. I now invite our mentor, Mr. Vikrant Gill, Senior Director of Marketing and Insights at Fortera, to take the floor along with our distinguished panelist. Mr. Sanjeev Shishu, former CVP Global Service Center, Novo Nordisk, India. Ms. Shilpa Ahir, Global Lead for GCC Strategy, Performance and Analytics, Sandoz. Mr. Himanshu Gill, for Sehgals, Founder and Director Delivery, Octivus Consulting. Mr. Kamaljeet Behra, Director Global Analytics, IQVIA, for this discussion.
Hello. Yeah. Are we good? Okay. Good morning, everyone. See, Okay, okay. Everyone is awake. I thought that I need to check that one first, but some people are still saying good morning, right? So again, good morning, everyone. That sounds good. Thank you. And a big round of applause to Dr. Bhaskar because of his presentation. You all guys are awake, right? I was in a big flux that after lunch session, generally it's not become a session, it becomes a snoozing session, right? So please put your phones also on snooze. It is there on the big one. Okay, great. Thank you. Today's discussion is very, very interesting. GCC, I think we've spoken maybe 10 times since morning. A lot of presentation. Everybody is speaking about GCC, GCC, GCC. Now let's decode or demystify what is GCC. It's been known by different terminologies. GCC, Global Capability Center. Somebody says GDC, Global Delivery Center. Somebody might say, oh, GSC, it's not GCC, GSC, Global Service Center. And then there's another one, GIC, and many more, right? These four I remember in my tenure, but there could be many more in this one. So this discussion primarily is going to demystify what exactly this is, how it has started, the evolution of GCCs in India, right? We've been ranked #1 in manufacturing. I think we've also been ranked #1 in GCCs in India as of now. And then we also look at the potential challenges for the AI. AI is also there, right? A lot of talk is about AI, which is happening in this one. But before we go into detail on this one, I let my panel members to introduce themselves briefly, right? And add one line about that. What do you think about the GCCs 10 years ago versus now? And then we'll take the discussion from there.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thanks a lot. So one line introduction for myself. I'm Sanjeev Shishu. I spent my life in commercial side, but last 5 years of my job we are heading the GCC for Novo Nordisk. The difference in GCC is 10 years ago, it was a fight to convince the headquarter to set up a GCC in India. It was more a proof of concept stage. Now it is part of the corporate strategy. So that is a huge difference in the GCCs in India.
Hi everyone, Himanshu Sehgal. So at the moment, Octo's it's a consulting company. Okay, so we are not a GCC basically. So first, I'll introduce myself. So Himanshu Sehgal with 15 years of experience, worked with a GCC, Novartis basically, and that's where me and Vikrant met also. Now, 10 years ago and today, I think GCC has evolved as previously as a back office. 10 years ago, it was more of a back office. Now, it is heading towards innovation. It is not yet there, but it is literally heading towards the innovation part. So I think that's my take on what GCC was and now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Converge and I'm from IQVIA. I am glad that at least some of you or most of you would understand IQVIA. Every time I tell my relatives I work in IQVIA, they don't know what is it. Okay, anyway, jokes apart. I have around 15 years of experience intersecting in pharma, healthcare data, real world data analytics, and more recently in the last 5-6 years, AI, agentic AI and other things, right? For me, what is the shift in the 10 years is, like many people mentioned, like we used to be called as global delivery centers almost 3 years back, right? Now we are global business units, right? So that's a big change, and the shift, as most of us mentioned, right? It's from a delivery efficiency, cost arbitrage, moving towards, right? Not necessarily innovation, but driving that outcomes, right? Metrics is where India as a GDC center is also kind of, or delivery center is also contributing to the outcomes rather than just efficiency losses.
Hi, hello everyone. Good afternoon. So I'm Shilpa Ahi. I'm representing Sandoz here. About 25 years of work, out of which almost 13-14 years have been in pharma with Novartis, with you, and now in Sandoz. I think in the last 10, 15, 20 years, GCCs have moved from not really considered core to the company from a strategy perspective, but now very fast they're moving to almost being called a second headquarters. I'm seeing that very drastic change from the time that I have been following the GBS industry in the last 20 years that it has been growing in India.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm Vikrant Gill. I work with Fortia. Don't worry, you will not have heard it, right? You can Google it later on. It's a competitor to IQVIA, basically, right? And we work in the CRO space.
Should I get out of the way?
Yeah, yes, there'll be Russell afterwards. That's fine.
No, you can fight it out.
Right. But I think, say, initially I was telling that we've been known by different names. So there's one name which Kamal brought in, GBU. See, like the new name has come, new acronym, the Global Business Unit is coming through. And everybody talked about that we started as from the cost arbitrage perspective. Now, Sanjeev, I just want to ask you that you have built the company, built the GCC, and brought the operations from your headquarters to India, right? Was it purely driven by cost arbitrage, or it is because of the talent which is available in India?
First thing I would like to state it very strongly. We Indians have got a habit of underselling ourselves. Most of the pharma companies were not looking at cost arbitrage. But Bangalore is used to saying the word offshoring and saying that I have to be cheap, I have to be cheap. Nobody was looking at it. There is a tremendous talent shortage in pharma. If any pharma company has to grow, it requires talent. And that talent was evidently available in India. At least Novo Nordisk was very clear it was not a cost arbitrage, it was a growth enabler. If we want to do large clinical trials very fast, we need a lot of statisticians, we need a lot of clinical trial experts, we need a lot of trial centers. I want to do PV, I require a lot of people. I want to do marketing, I need marketing professionals. The country which can provide is India. So GCC, at least very clearly for Novo, was defined as a growth enabler, and each function was an integral part of the headquarter function. It was not a delivery unit, it was not a service unit, it was a part of the function. We were at the decision-making table. So that is something which, as an Indian, all of us need to be very clear. Just because the work is being done in Bangalore, it is not cheap, it is not offshoring. We are doing exactly the same work which somebody else is doing in headquarters or anywhere else. And we should have the same pride. I do not like the word offshoring, I do not like the word back office. But unfortunately, those phrases have been very popular in Bangalore from IT industry.
Right, I think well said on this one. And this is the strategic perspective, primarily bringing on GCs to India. And Shilpa, you brought in the point on cost, right? How does it differ from, like, would it be a policy different from one company to other company, where it mostly cost arbitrage in one and where it is mostly value driven in another one? How do you see in that perspective?
No, I think I agree with you that it's no longer a cost game, because if you actually look at the analysis that we do internally, talent cost analysis, we see as you go up the hierarchy of levels, our cost that we pay out to our leaders almost not very differential. No longer there is a significant difference. So we are ready to pay global salaries to our leaders because that is the value that India is also adding. So it's now more what it's now driven by the value you're adding, and not the arbitrage is there only from a foreign exchange differential point of view. But otherwise, when it comes to talent, when it comes to risk mitigation, to problem solving, to value outcomes, even if we were in their shoes, we would not make these decisions just based on one factor, that is cost. And we are seeing that more and more in the decision making that's happening on what needs to move to GCC part of the team and what stays in the countries or regions that they are currently in.
Okay. And Himanshu, right? From your perspective, you've not been part of GCC, right? You worked with GCC in the past. Now, looking from an external lens, so we have two veterans who has built the teams within the GCC. How do you see it, right? Do you see it the same way that people are seeing, or you see it differently, or perceived it's the outside world?
Okay, from the outside world, GCC, honestly, when it started, I mean, that's my perspective. When it started, it was more of a cost arbitrage. Talent was there, but the world saw us from the IT industry as a service provider, And you know, there was a pressure on the pharma community that, you know, provide service at a lesser cost, basically. But now the cost arbitrage, as what Shilpa was saying and as Sanjeev sir was saying, it is gone now. Our leaders are paid, you know, as par with the global, you know, standards. So, you know, in terms of just talent, now it is talent driven, honestly. We are producing so many B pharmas, B tech biotechs, you know, and which is the X-fold, I would say, compared to any country in the world. So now the journey, you know, and then that's also the reason why we have, you know, 20, 30 global pharma companies across India, or maybe more than that, across India having their GCC. Then there are big fours who have their capability centers or acceleration centers uh, specific to healthcare, which one of them I was also again part of PwC. So they are now driven by more talent, basically. The pool of talent what we have, the experience we have gained over the years, you know, in terms of working with service delivery centers, basically. And that's, I think that is from an perspective where I was inside also, and now I'm looking from the outside world also. That's, I think, the driving force.
Okay. So what I'm getting is that we initially might have started with the cost arbitrage, but now because we moved up in the value chain, right? It's mostly because of the talent what we have in India, the GCCs are coming to India right now. And if I ask Kamal on this one, right? Because once you move up in the value chain, you definitely need to have success metrics, right? How do you measure this? How do you say that, okay, we have moved up in the value chain? And within IQVIA and the broader system, how do you define that metric? So what are the metrics that you're using previously versus what you're using right now?
Yeah, no, that's a fair question, and I'll slightly differ. It's not necessarily always talent, but as we move on, right? How many of them, right, are actually the good talent? That's what matter. And as you mentioned about the metrics, right? It's not about driving something at scale now because we have a lot of people to do things, but it's more about how we are driving outcomes, success metrics. That's what important, right? So if I have clearly seen this in my last 6 years, right? Or before that, when I joined, I used to hear that my team was not given, right, chance to write custom codes, do ML algorithms and other things, right? It is predominantly, and like others said, right, it's kindly driven in the US or maybe some other best core destination like no Poland, other places. But I think that shift has changed when we show the attitude or think beyond delivering just, right, start to doing innovation. So it's the ownership is with us, right? I think some of the GCCs which think progressively, like Sanjeev sir mentioned, others mentioned, you have to act on that, come out of that, you know, delivery mindset. Otherwise, there is still job for delivery, and we have a lot of people to do that. But do you want to do that as a GCC? That's your call.
So from the success metrics, what I understand is that the work which is being done in the US is now shifted within the India, right? So is it also aligned with the authority to do that work by India, right? Like the authority which resides within India, or authority still resides in, and I'm gonna come to Shilpa's point as well later on, still resides at the headquarters perspective. How does it differ?
So essentially, we have to agree that, right? I come from the pharma analytics, right, or clinical trial. We come from that, right? We can't deny that more than 40% of the business come from US, right? So naturally, most of the data also, right? We deal with 300 million patient records in US. How much we have in India, right? So decisions are taken by global leaders, but there is always a myth, right? No, they prefer US people doing that. There is nothing like that. They love us working on that because we are more flexible. We stretch times, okay, because we have not so stringent work policies. But I think that's a myth that we are thinking that they are headquarters centric. I think when I say the term GBU, Global Business Unit, that's the key reason. There is no headquarters so called. You are a global team. Whoever has the appetite and the interest drive that.
Yeah, sure, please, Sanjeev.
I think every company has a different culture and a different outlook and probably a different stage in the life cycle. At least in Novo Nordisk from day one, we were at the decision-making table. So there was no difference between a team member in Bangalore or in headquarter or in USA. And the career paths were fluid. So somebody can come into GCC, somebody can move away from GCC. And we were so confident, we were not worried of being called a global service center because it didn't matter at all. The decision making was equally in Bangalore. I had more VPs than probably any person at my level in headquarters. And all VPs, our ranks were absolutely same across the world. It also depends on the company. We were fortunate. It is difficult to get science graduates in Denmark.
6 million population, right?
It's fine. So sometimes you strike it lucky.
Right.
But it is fine.
I'll just add to that. Sorry. I think I agree with you because we were part of, Sandoz became spun off 3 years ago. And when we spun off, Novartis was very matured in its GPS. It was operating with a lot of, perceived to be operating with a lot of ownership at a GPS side, which we realized that that was also a myth later. So when we spun off, we didn't want to make the mistakes we made in the past. So we hesitated a lot, thinking, how do we treat the GCC? What kind of operating model we need to have? And if you today see, we went very slow, not because we didn't want to make decisions fast, but because we didn't want to again have the functions feel that they have lost power and they have their teams here as well. So I agree with what sir is saying here, because we have a model where the functional ownership lies with the functional function, and they are not you and I and we and you and that person. They are one. Okay. They are us. So the budget decisions, the ways of working within the function is distributed as per the functional ways of working. It's not GCC versus global or headquarters.
So if I take away some point from there is what Sanjeev mentioned, and what Shilpa you're saying is that currently with the 10 to 15 years of Indian GCC structure, right? We have global functions sitting within India, and that's part of IQVIA as well coming through. And these are the people who are making the decisions right now, which are the global scale. Now, it brings to me the pertinent question is that how does innovation in GCCs being taken care of, right? And I give you a very hypothetical example is that if a research happens in an office which is in Bangalore or Hyderabad or Delhi, right? Will it be patented to India office or will it be patented to the global headquartered office? How does you carry that innovation within the organization? Like it could be an ML, a large learning model as well, right? Depending upon that one, it could be anything.
Yeah, I can take that. We have patented at least 3-4 AI ML models, right? You see, right, where you want to commercialize it, right? So typically, like for pharma, right, which agency you are going, whether FDA, EMA, depends on the market, right? Similarly, I think the target is always go with the US, right, patent office first, and if there is no harm, not much of hassle, why not do it a global thing, right? Because you have the ecosystem, right, in the company functions, legal and all those who can drive this for you. It's more about you proving that this is worth to be patented by our company.
Okay. So what I take is still at the global headquarter level, the majority of the innovations got that. Himanshu, you want to say something on this one?
So per se, honestly, innovation, I mean, I'm talking about more scientific, not AI and all. At a more scientific level, firstly, innovation is not happening in India, basically. There is no R&D as such. You know, most of the work is analytical testing and all those kind of activities are being done at the India level. But yes, and as what Kamal said, that if some sort of patent needs to happen, and it is sound, honestly, because where the money lies, US is where the money lies. So obviously the patent would happen, would take place first in US, and though the legal team who is actually vetting that process is maybe sitting in India also, but because US is the money driver, and I think that's the reason why patents on all these kind of things usually take care there. I mean, it's taken care there. But to add to that, there are Indian GCCs. I wouldn't call them a GCC. Actually, they also don't establish them as GCCs. But there are Indian pharma companies now who are actually working and trying to create innovative products. Whether they are still dependent on inorganic growth, acquiring companies from outside, like Sun recently acquired, and a couple of others. But still, they have now started to think about, innovating in India. But these are Indian pharma companies. I don't know if we call them a GCC or not, but yes.
Okay, so from innovation perspective, it does happen, right? It's still little unclear from which perspective.
I will divide innovation into two parts.
Yeah.
One is the R&D part, discovering a molecule or doing a search, which I would definitely not advise my company to do in India. Right now, the IP regulations are not that strong. I used to joke around, the most heavily used machine in a company is a Xerox machine in India. So it would take a lot of guts to do the basic research in India, one part. But you can do a lot of innovation on the other side. If all the processes, if all the analysis, if the trial design is happening in India, quite a bit of commercially viable innovation of a significant magnitude has to happen in India because most of the work is happening in India. We are not dumb operators. We have been given outcomes. So we have to figure out, one, is it still required to work that way? Or is it a much better way of doing things? And that is where the Indian centers can contribute a lot and become very strategic for the company because the bulk of the manpower is in India. And if you don't innovate with that, then one can question the leadership.
I think that's a wonderful point, Sanjeev. And this brings to my next question is, how do you decide that this GCC is strategic in nature and this GCC is more operational in nature?
You are asking me?
Yes.
Let me put it this way. As I said, I was lucky. I spent a lot of a reasonably successful career on the commercial side. So I had a network in the company. So before taking the job, that was the discussion I had with my boss. Okay, I'm not interested in running a cost center. And the company was very nice or whatever way it is. So we had the freedom, but that decision, let me put it this way, if some company is demanding that it has to be run as a cost center, you start with it, but keep on fighting it. Till the time the leadership gets enlightenment, which they are going to get, because Indians are pretty good. We are very good at what we do. Get an entry, but look beyond cost arbitrage.
Okay, wonderful. Now, let's move to the next section, right, on this one. When I started working, knowing VBA in Excel was like, you're the god, basically. You've been treated like, if you want something, people will come and give it to you, right? Because you are the person who can help to analyze the data in a very faster way. Then VBA stayed for some time. After VBA went, then SQL comes in, right? Now SQL is gone, now Python comes in. Now with ChatGPT, Claude, I can write code, right? Without even knowing what is written in the code in that way, right? Now, if this is how the technology or the tech has evolved, how does it going to impact the overall GCC workforce? And then you being into the data analytics part, Kamal, right? I just wanted to check to know that, okay, what exactly is going to happen maybe in next 2-3 years, depending upon the tech uses which is happening? Is it going to enhance the GCC presence or strengthen the GCC presence, or it's going to weaken the GCC presence?
So I may not give you a clear perspective whether it is going to be a pros or con for a GCC perspective, but every individual working from India location, if you consider GCC, they have a big opportunity, right, to prove them beyond their core skill sets, right? Like you very well mentioned, right? It's inevitable if we don't talk about the LLMs, right? A person who without coding can actually leverage. And this is a classic the classic need, right? Especially in this industry, because it's not like a layman industry. If I ask someone, give me 10 parts of car, they can tell easily, right? Give me 10 drugs name, people struggle, right? You would have tested, otherwise test with your friend, non-pharma friends. Now we need people, like in my team, I need people who know pharma terms, indication name. They should know what is non-Hodgkin lymphoma, as well as I need someone who can query big data, right? This was very difficult before LLMs.
Ultra humans are required right now.
Yes,
I think.
unicorns. We need some unicorns to do that. But with Copilot, people can't give an excuse. I can't learn or augment myself in querying big data, right? And that advantage is coming. Again, think about, right? We have a mass scale of people. And as Sanjeev sir mentioned, we always have to prove that, right? We are not just to deliver what is being asked. We have been delivering 100 times on that process. And we are the person doing like a slogging on that. Can't I just question that process? Can I reduce that instead of a day to some hours? What is required from that? Do I need to write a Python script for that? Do I leverage some LLM to do my secondary research? And when people start doing that, and that's what we are seeing nowadays, is that's where the acceptance, the trust increases with the global offices or the global business that yes, these people are driving. And trust me, 90% of the business innovations are driven by our team. In fact, we host the hackathons, innovation, all the events for the global team from India.
Okay, sounds good. So basically we need business people who knows how to code, or at least go to Claude or ChatGPT to get the code, right? So that's the technical ability what we need. Does that differ for your organization and Himanshu from your perspective as well?
Yeah, it differs quite a lot because I think, first of all, we have a little wary of AI being very traditionally, how no it is, and most of the pharma organizations are, because if the value of the outcome is not changing, whether you use AI or not, I would question whether you have the ability to judge this exact application. We are not interested in you increasing the speed or increasing accuracy from 90 to 95% using Copilot versus just Excel, etc. What we want you to bring to the table is even being curious about, is this the best outcome that the company can get from this process? Are you stepping back and looking at the process end to end? Are there better models outside which may or may not even use AI for that matter, or better operating models that we should be considering? That thought and understanding and expertise is what matters. So how do you look at the outcome, which, and therefore which AI, because we have enough experts to tell you how to do it, whether agentic is better or Gen AI is better. We don't really need to be experts in that, but you need to be understanding, by using that, is your outcome going to be 10x or minus 10x?
So it's mostly the domain expertise in depth, and then on top of that, you need some functional or business expertise.
Application outcome.
Right. Himanshu?
My thoughts are actually about AI are very on the negative side, I would say, really. Because I'll give you with one example. A couple of months back, I wanted to hire a manager basically for my team. So I floated a case study, and around 15-20 people were shortlisted, and then they completed a case study. Out of those 15 people, around 6 to 7 used AI to create those case studies, actually, right? And see, there were 7 different people. Their thought process were different, and everything was different. But the outcome which came out of it was pretty much the same, more or less. So I think now, with even AI in picture, I believe that it is more important to have a human touch now. For analysts like us, for people, in competitive intelligence, if you talk about generating insights, AI would definitely faster your work. So, you have an Excel with 5,000 data points, basically. So it will process it faster for sure. It will create graphs faster. You don't have to put in manual labor to create pivot tables and all that. But at the end of the day, I need a human to actually generate insights, because that AI is not going to generate insights. And even if it does, they are going to be very generic in nature, at least for now. Maybe, yes, maybe in future, what the kind of the way we all are developing or being dependent on AI, yes, maybe in future it might start, generating a lot of insights which are human in nature, or more actionable insights basically. But at the moment, uh, I feel that AI is just a tool basically in our quiver basically.
So somebody who can use AI in a smarter way to really generate the insights for the business problem what they have. That's
Exactly.
primarily is what they're looking at.
Exactly. And AI can just be an enabler or just a tool basically, as I said.
Correct, right. I've been constantly told that we are on time, right? But I'll have one question before we open it for the questions in the forum. We have a lot of students over here, right? So what capability they need to build for that would want to get into any of the GCC's perspective? What kind of capability they need to have it? And it's from everybody, right? We'll start with Sanjeev.
How many of you are pharmacists in this room? So for the pharmacist, by accident or whatever it is, maybe your parents wanted you to become doctors. You didn't get in there, you became a pharmacist. I wanted to become an engineer, I became a pharmacist. But I fell in love with it. It is a phenomenal profession. Please get domain knowledge. Pharma is one industry where domain knowledge can make a huge difference to the outcomes. So please get it. It is a very boring advice, but then I am old. So it is fine. Please get a domain knowledge, be proud of what you are doing and become better and better in that. That is your differentiation. About AI, if the pharmacist would know, the cornerstone of pharmacy is traceability. We like documentation. As she said, there is a reason we don't like AI, because if it is a black box, we'll check it out in the peripheral functions like finance, IT, everything, but not in the core processes. Because we want documentation, we want traceability. In the future, AI will change. And if any place is going to leverage AI in pharma landscape, it will be Bangalore, not because of pharma. Almost every Fortune 500 company has a capability center in Bangalore. The amount of work and amount of experience which we are gaining, not in the industry, but outside of the industry, is huge. And innovation happens across the boundaries, not within silos. Innovation happens when industry talks to another industry. So I would not be worried about AI. Right now, we do not know how to use it, and pharma will be very careful using AI because the stakes are very high. I was just joking with somebody. If pharma industry was run with like IT industry, imagine like window hangs and nobody minds. Can you imagine that happening with our drug? Yeah. We are a different industry. We have a lot of responsibility. We take our time because the patient security is patient safety is paramount. Rest everything is secondary. IT industry runs on a very good slogan, fake it till you make it. Which is basically saying we are fraud till you are not caught.
Perfect way to put it.
So in pharma, but AI will come. I'm not saying no to it. It is a phenomenal technology. We will master it. And the innovation is going to happen in India because we are gaining experience across industries. And we have not even begun to leverage it. So if you are young, this is the right time. And every generation has been told they are entering a even when I was young, I was told the same thing.
New era.
The world is changing, it keeps on changing. And opportunity keeps on opening. So best of luck, don't worry.
Okay, so I second what Sanjeev sir said, though I'm younger. For someone who's working for a GCC or a pharma consulting, I think your core, your B Pharma education, your basics should be very, very, very clear, very strong, very clear. Because unless you do you clean up your act basically there, you'll not be able to go forward and become a leader in that space basically, right? At this moment, I go to multiple colleges, talk to a lot of students. They are all, sir, we we know SQL, we know data analytics, we know Tableau, we know Power BI. And again, once again, Power BI, Tableau, SQL, again, these are your tools. To generate insights, you actually need to understand the basic of science. You need to understand what is the difference between a biologic and a small molecule. If you don't understand those basics, it is really futile that you have learned Power BI or XYZ things. I have interviewed students who do not know how many phases are there in a clinical trial, and these are MBA students from decent colleges. So your technical basic pharmacy knowledge is a very important tool to have. And second thing is openness to learn right now. I talk to a lot of students, and they do not have that malleability basically at this moment. They feel that we are graduating from IIHMR Bangalore or IIHMR Jaipur or IIT of the world, and then we should get right now a CEO position in a company. No, that's actually a fact. There's nothing to laugh about, especially for students. So those are the two things I would say. We all as students, we need to develop. Third thing, we Indians, one of my ex-bosses, and who's like my mentor, he always used to say that, he still says that we Indians are like water. Whichever vessel you put us in, will take that shape basically. So no worries about what AI is coming, or what all is all tools and techniques or whatnot is coming. No one is going to take our jobs, because we are very smart people. We can shape, we can take shape in whatever vessel we are going to be put across basically. So yeah, those are my 2 cents.
Thank you. Just one request to Kamal and Shilpa. We've been signaled quite a number of times that we are way over time. So if you can keep it a little short, that's helpful.
30 seconds, right? First of all, follow your passion, right? And I'm in 100% in agreement what Sanjeev sir and Himanshu mentioned. Follow your passion, because that you will enjoy every day of your work, right? Try to understand, explore what do you want to do every day morning, get up and don't feel burned out of that. Secondly, be always proactive, never get into your comfort zone, right? And third, I personally feel like AI is not a black box, because most often we or my team develop that, right? So we understand AI. So I have a very different perspective. We are living in a golden era where these dynamics are shifting, right? Like in the 90s, we had computer science. No matter you didn't join a TCS, Infosys, or Accenture. This is an era where you can, right, upskill yourself or augment yourself, like other my panelists may agree, to make that difference in your beyond your the core foundation of the knowledge. Thank you.
I'll be very
Yeah,
short.
absolutely. Please go ahead.
Just 2 things, just build and strengthen your strategic mindset and your thought leadership. What I mean with that is, what you're studying now, how is it really done across the industry? For example, how are the clinical pathways in Lilly versus Novo versus Novartis? Are there differences? Are there similarities? Why did they take those pathways? Why are the differences there? Try to think about that, and don't just be limited to your theoretical knowledge. It's very important. And thought leadership, what I mean is, there are many opinions. You hear opinions, your friends have opinions. Have your own opinion and be curious. And I'll end at time.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So in summary, so if I say that one, that from GCC perspective, where we've been 15, 20 years, maybe started as some of the cost arbitrage, except Sanjeev sir's company, where they were lucky to have that one. and then moved value up the chain. Now we are not really considered as a cost center, or maybe cheaper in a not a right word, right, to be used. We have come to a point where we need to start, or we are showcasing the innovation as a part of our DNA. We've been adding value in terms of the decision strategy which has been taken at the headquarters, or we are helping the headquarters to take those decisions in a faster and more quicker way. To go there, panels have already given you the wisdom, what exactly you need to do. You need to be very thorough in what you do. You need to learn about the new areas, specifically the new technology, what is coming through, and be comfortable with those ones. But before we end this session, I just open it for the questions to the audience. If they have any questions, they want to know anything additional, what we already spoken. One question over there. Please state your name and whom you are asking the question as well.
Hello, this is Kavita from IIHMR Bangalore. I wanted to know how is government scheme like Biopharma Shakti going to attract more pharma GCCs in India?
Anyone?
Politically incorrect answer. I don't think the GCs are, at least the multinationals are not dependent on Government of India policies. This growth has happened independent of it. If anything, it might help it more, but I don't think anything is stopping the growth of GCCs. With the personalized medicine and whatnot is coming in, GCCs will keep on continue to grow. They have to grow.
Yeah, I have a question. My question is mainly for Kamaljeet and Himanshu. So Octopus Consulting and IQVIA, they are not GCC, right? But they do the same kind of work. They are the service provider. They help big pharma companies. With the rise of GCC in India, how that is going to impact the business of IQVIA, companies like IQVIA, Octopus Consulting, ZS Associates, consulting firms which cater to life sciences, industry.
So I think I can take maybe Vikrant might differ from me. IQVIA is not only a CRO; it is one of the biggest health data vendor. Even the likes of Novo, GSK come to us for the data. So we have a very big business which runs.
It is an ecosystem. It is an ecosystem. It is not us versus them. At the end of the day, everybody needs
each other.
Everybody has a specialization. You just leverage it to grow together.
But what I know that there are many task, right, projects which were done by companies like ZS Associates and other, consulting firms. Now they are being done, in that company, actually in the GCC center. What's your take, Himanshu, on this?
Ask this to GCCs.
No, so I'm asking about how the business of IQ companies like, Octopus Consulting, that is getting impacted
It's
because
not
of.
impacted.
Okay.
It's very positively impacted because it's the operating model that the GCCs undertake. In hybrid model, you need to leverage vendors and CROs for your with you. You cannot just work in a silos. That's part of an operating model. That the way you design your GCC design with the function within the function, you may decide that, say, for example, regulatory. I will do certain one type of activities from GCC, and this other type it makes sense to be given to, say, IQVIA because they do it better more than anything else. Well, it's whether you buy or build, and that's the formula you would use here also, which we use.
Thank you, ma'am.
See, fundamentally, in the end of the day, is an ecosystem, and it keeps both the GCC and the consulting companies on their toes.
Right.
So both will keep on improving, and both will be required. I don't think it is either or. If anything, it is a better outcome for the system.
Thank you.
And consulting companies give a outsider perspective. So that is something which is,
Right.
Bigger consulting firms like IQVIA, they are data providers plus, the perspective. We as a smaller firm, we are more agile. Wherever you want to put us, we go there. That's one thing. And second thing is, and again, expertise is also there. Not everyone can hire everyone, right? So Sandoz might require an expertise which is there, with other companies. So they have to rely on an external service provider like Octopus or IQVIA to get the work done basically. So they cannot hire everyone. GCCs, yes, they are bigger in size, 7,000 employees, 4,000 employees. But again, at the end of the day, they have a limited infrastructure and they cannot, and then, that's where we adapt and then we come.
Thank you. Thank you for the answer.
Right. Okay. Any additional question? Anyone? Is all clear? Or above the head? Or full clear? Nobody's saying anything. Okay. With the interest of time, I thank you each and every panel member for being candid, honest, and bearing with me for the last 35 to 40 minutes. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you to the entire panel for bringing forward such valuable insights. The discussion clearly highlighted how GCCs are moving beyond traditional support function to become key drivers of innovation, R&D, and advanced analytics, strengthening India's position as a global strategic hub. I sincerely thank you once again for highlighting these important perspectives and for delivering such an engaging and impactful session. I request all panel members to stay back for felicitation. It's now time to extend our heartfelt thanks to our panelists for an insightful and enriching session. I further request Mr. Vikrant Gill to acknowledge all the panelists for their valuable contribution to the discussion. Thank you, sir. May I request Dr. Sarla R., Professor IIHMR, Bangalore, to kindly felicitate our moderator, Mr. Vikrant Gill, as a mark of our gratitude. Please come forward. Thank you so much, everyone. Now, keep the energy going and make it interactive. We have a fun quiz lined up for all of you. I would request Dr. Naina to take the stage and conduct the quiz. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Hope all of us were attentive, including me. I'm making questions out of every session. So I should also keep myself attentive. So a lot of GCCs were heard, right? And a lot of synonymous terminologies were also brought in. So can you please give me 2 more terminologies that can be used synonymously? Okay, faculty last. Let me give first chance to either of the students. Yes, please. You know the answer? Yes? Either of you. Yeah. Come. Can you please pass the mic?
Hello.
A Global Development Center.
Yes.
Global Business Unit.
Okay.
Global Service Center.
Please come. She was making notes. I didn't know. Can please the prizes be given? Right. So in the morning, we had one of the chief speaker talking about one of the pharmaceutical companies situated in Rishikesh. Which was that? One of the government-owned pharmacy. Yes. Wait. I have somebody in red side. The one before, yeah. Yes, please come. Sorry, sir, she raised the hand. What is our ranking in academia industry collaboration? What is India's ranking in academia industry collaboration? This was from morning session. Stand up and answer. 84. Any other answer? No, I don't give it to you. I'll give it to her because in the morning she missed a prize. So she was very close by. It is 86, but still I'm giving it to you because you said either of the number right. So, Ansari sir, please give away the prize. Okay, one abbreviation. What does AICTE stand for? AI, yes, please. Yes, after the next panel discussion, we will come back for the same session. Thank you.
We now move on to the third panel discussion of this event, Cracking the Code, how leading pharma and healthcare firms identify the future leaders. Leadership today demands more than the technical skills. It requires agility and vision. This session explores how leading organizations identify and cultivate the next generation of future-ready talent. May I invite the moderator for this panel discussion, Mr. K.S. Srinivas, Global Lead Corporate Learning, Talent Development and Succession, Biocon Biologics Limited. Joining with him, the panelists for this session, Mr. Abhishek Kumar, CEO, Ripples Learning, Dr. Vivekanand Chandra Kumar, Regional Head Administrator, Emergency Medicine Physician, Kaveri Hospital, Mr. Shamsuzman Ansari,
Hi everyone, good evening. The last of the day,
Just like a cricket match, last 2 overs, all of us expect big sixes. Okay, so if your expectations is that you are looking forward for some inputs on the topic, then we have the right panel. Okay, it's an interesting panel. People from industry, as well as pharma industry, hospital, and a learning organization, and of course, a professor from your own institute. Before we begin on the conversation and trying to share our views, I wanted to also highlight on the significance of this. Every healthcare or pharma organization, just for the sake, it's not, but it is actually a challenge to prepare future leaders. Okay. And when we mean future leaders, I'll share my view and I'll also invite quickly views from my co-panelist that why is so important. We cannot have ready-made leaders customized to take the challenges of that specific organization hired from outside. Yes, some of the leaders can be hired, but it's the best with what we have seen is if they are grown within the organizations. It's also a debate whether you want to hire from outside or whether you want to grow within the organization. But I am on the other side and I have my own views why I would prefer to groom the talents to take the future roles in coming 2 or 3 years or so. So individual contributors becoming frontline leaders becoming mid-level function heads, in future getting into head of functions or CXO roles. So keeping that in the view, I would like to first, get a quick view from all three co-panelists that what's your view? Why is this important? Future leaders preparing that. Why is it an important question for organizations?
I think, can all of you hear me? Yeah. I think leaders sort of create the culture in which all relevant decisions, all relevant communication, all relevant discussions actually happen, right? So they sort of create the context in which essentially they hold the pot, which then sort of has a lot of interaction and energy happening inside it, which moves the organization forward. So they sort of hold the pot. And if the leader does not hold the pot properly, does not set the context properly, does not create a subculture properly within their team, then I think the organization pays a price for it in the long run. And of course, the team members obviously pay a price for it in the short run. So it's very important to have this this ability developed within organizations. And I would also like to agree that sometimes what happens is when leaders are grown from within, they sort of have the DNA of the organization. They understand the culture of the organization. Culture is not very often what is written in the mission statement or the vision statement. It is often the unsaid stuff, things you don't say but are true. Things which are unsaid but true, and rules that are not written but everybody follows. That creates the culture of an organization. So since they're sort of already attuned into it, they can carry the torch better. But yeah, sometimes you need to disrupt that also. So bringing in some energy from outside can also be helpful. I think you need to maintain a balance is what I feel.
Thank you, Abhishek. Yeah, that's interesting. And happy that there is one more mind which resonates with my thoughts. Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
Professor Shams.
So yeah, leaders are important for the holistic growth of any organization. Then the question is, we should have ingrown, homegrown leaders, or we should hire from outside. So even I second the thought of Mr. Abhishek. We should maintain a balance, and it always depends on the objective. If we have homegrown leaders, they are well prepared to take the next step. We should take them from the within the company, right? But if we are not able to find, if we don't have ready leader, right, we can go outside. And we should hire from outside as well, because it's important to maintain a diversity. That is very important.
Absolutely. I think you brought in an additional view here is by bringing outside talent at the leadership level, we get fresh perspectives. I do see it. Thank you for sharing that perspective.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Vivek.
Firstly, I just want to say it's ironic that this talk on leadership is one of the last sessions when actually it's the need of what we in the hospital industry, and I'm sure in other industries, and most of the students here are aspiring to be. Coming to your question, essentially, there's this statement in a book by Obama, Promised Land, where he says that, if a problem came to my desk, it didn't have an easy solution. So in my perspective, a leader is someone who can risk stratify, who can manage and understand that in life, you don't have an easy solution. So depending on where you are in the context of an organization, that leader has to be sourced from within or without.
Thank you. That's again an interesting perspective.
Yeah, in fact, just to add one particular thing to that. So what we are discussing is the role of leaders within the organization, but there is also leadership needed in the domain itself, isn't it? And I think that is really someone who is operating at the boundaries of what is possible for the domain, or at least possible for us, for example, in the context of India, and then pushing that domain forward. I think that is a different kind of leadership, not the kind of leadership we talk about, like managing a team or managing a culture or getting work done, but kind of what Dr. Vivekananda spoke about, that, we must move, we must solve problems that are difficult, isn't it? Absolutely.
Thank you. While the topic says cracking the code for preparing future leaders, I personally do not think there is any one specific code. Every organization finds their own path because there are multiple directions in which you can, groom someone to take the future leadership roles. Before I turn towards again my fellow panelist, a quick story I want to share about. I represent Biocon today, and our MD and CEO Srihas had joined Biocon about 28, 29 years ago as management trainee. It's inspiring to see that MTech chemical engineering postgraduate wanted to grow and contribute in technical field, somehow finds his way within the organization, shifting from one role to another, one function to another, finding the path to the topmost role in the organization of CEO and MD. This story says that it reinforces my belief that providing opportunity for talents to grow within not only lies in the hands of youngsters to take the opportunities, but also organizations which should provide opportunities to the organization. With that story in the background, I turn towards Dr. Vivek. The question I have is, in a healthcare setting, especially when you're leading management there, leadership directly impacts patient outcomes, okay, in hospital setup. How can we consciously build leaders who balance both clinical excellence and, where they need to actually show empathy and make also quick decisions? But how do we make leaders in such, environment?
Yeah, this is the balance that most corporate hospitals struggle with, right? Like, where do we balance, how do we balance top line, bottom line with empathy? The key thing is, at least what I've found, I have a background as an emergency physician. So you have to have some non-negotiables. You have to have some areas where you know that even if it is on a case-by-case basis, you choose to not move the needle in that direction. So, for example, at our organization in Kaveri and in most other hospitals as well, in pharmacy, formulary, and brand management, we make it a point to incorporate and bring the doctors in. It may not always be the wisest decision financially. I have so many colleagues from the pharmaceutical industry here, so they will know. But sometimes, not only because it's the doctor's preference, but also because some particular brand has slightly better outcomes than another, particularly when it comes to antibiotics, oncology, and so on and so forth. So as leaders, whether you're from the medical fraternity or outside the medical fraternity, it's important to realize that however anxious you are about the P&L, there is someone more anxious about the patient there.
So whether you're still a practicing clinician or even representing the management, the first person to be focused is patient, and in other words, customer.
Patient.
Patient, yeah.
And if you focus on the P&L, you may not last long. With that.
Thank you. I think that's a very important, valid value which every leader should learn right from the beginning, so that they propagate the same as they grow within the organization. I look towards Abhishek, who has helped build leaders across 25 countries, 20,000 professionals. He has helped to groom them. With now AI, I mean, AI is going to be in every topic. So here as well, with AI automating technical expertise, what is your view? How should leadership development revolve? What should we stop teaching and what should be, focusing?
Yeah, it's very interesting because just yesterday, I come from an organization called Ripples Learning and Research. Yesterday, we were hosting a CHRO roundtable for the life sciences industry, along with KSDA and NHRD. And one of the things, and the topic was this, how will AI impact the healthcare industry? In fact, I met a few panelists from there here as well. So, what we should stop teaching, I think we should, especially in the context of AI, maybe single discipline depth is something that, because is something that might be needed, but at the same time, you must augment it with the secondary discipline as well. Because what is happening is, for a long time, I think the way we have divided life sciences, and in fact, any industry per se, is we have hyper specialized, right? We have gone in deep into specializations, and we have specialists for every small thing. Now, what AI brings is this ability to specialize can be outsourced to AI to a large extent, right? So the AI can specialize. At that point of time, what you really need is this beautiful word called consilience, which is this ability to move between disciplines and across disciplines and find wisdom, which is not available to AI, right? So which is only available if you're able to see these large meta patterns between disciplines and sciences. So I think that is one very important thing that emerges. Single discipline depth, anything that has to do with memory or even basic level of reasoning, recall is not something we should be teaching. What we should be teaching is, we should be teaching judgment in ambiguity. I think that is something that AI cannot do. AI is very good at giving you 10 responses. It'll give you 10 solutions. Which one will you pick? Isn't it? In fact, it'll give you 10 solutions in 10 minutes. So which one will you pick? I think that requires some kind of judgment, some kind of ability to deal with ambiguity. Another thing I think very, very important is, I want you to think of a thought experiment. Originally, the world belonged to those who demonstrated character traits, right? It was about bravery, valor. Slowly, the nerds sort of took over the world, isn't it? So then people who had intellect, who had very high reasoning, very high ability to specialize, they sort of took over the world. If AI is going to make intelligence available on tap, let us say that happens, we achieve AGI in 2 years and 5 years, we have super intelligence or something. If intelligence is available on tap, then what would differentiate a human being? So I think my guess is what would happen is we would go back to character. We would go back to courage and being proactive and taking risks, because those are not things that an intellect can do. Those are not intellectual things, right? Ability to take a risk or ability to be proactive is not something that is based on reasoning power. That a human being has to decide, isn't it? I've been hearing one of the speakers, they said that ChatGPT, to catch up with ChatGPT, we need 20 years and we can't do it. But similarly, the earlier panel also spoke about how we are not really innovating in India in terms of basic drug research or molecule research. And I think maybe we need to question those things, isn't it? Because Sam Altman came to India, he said that we have 20, you'll need 20 years to catch up with us. We thought it'll take 20 years and $20 billion. But then DeepSeek from China did it with $5 million and 100 employees, isn't it? Not even funded. Right? So we need to ask ourselves this question, why are we saying that we should always adopt and not innovate? Why should breakthrough science not happen in India? Why should serious science not happen in India? And I think this is a question that is being put to a good group of people. You have 30, 40, 50 years of career ahead of you, and maybe this is something that you can really, dedicate your life to solving. It's a good thing to dedicate your life to. But then again, this decision AI cannot make. You see, not any amount of AI can make this decision that we must pursue this tough problem, this impossible problem. We must solve it in India. So yeah, I think these are things that AI can't do, and I think this is what we should focus our leadership development on in the youth.
Thank you. That was so insightful that the landscape has suddenly changed in the last few years. I remember one of the leadership coach had made a recommendation in our leadership training that earlier leaders were expected to provide answers. But if some of you want to grow and become future leaders, the skill you should hone up is asking right questions. And you may not have answer, but you should know how to ask the right questions, because if you ask the right questions and prompt ChatGPT, probably you will get the right answer. So thank you for sharing that. From industry, want to add?
Yeah, in fact, I'd like to involve you in the discussion, Mr. Srinivas, if that's okay, because we are privileged to have you here with us on the panel. Just want to understand what qualities and competencies do you think will define the next generation of leaders in the healthcare and pharmaceutical industry in India?
Yeah, I think I would like to represent what we live do. In the last 2 years, we have kind of overhauled our skill framework. Considering the dynamics in the industry and various forces which are shaping and reshaping our business, we kind of doubled down on 4 areas. While there is one core that is all across the 4 is how will you use AI for these 4? That remains as a core. But these 4 areas for leadership is one is strategic. We call them all of them as agilities, strategic agility. It's not just about strategic ability, agility. So how do you quickly change strategies when the scenarios changes? The second agility is innovation agility. While we are, in biopharma, but we create biosimilars. From back on, if we have one original molecule research, we have similar products which are 4. So there it requires innovation agility, quickly coming out with new solutions. Third one is change agility. Agility helps people or the leader to navigate through the changes. And the last one is organization building. It's not just about business, it's about the people. Whom do you take? And how do you take your people along with this business scenario? So these are the 4 areas where we focus, right from mid-level to senior level. Entry level would be slightly different. We don't need these 4 at the entry level, but mid and senior level, all our leadership interventions focus on these 4.
So for leadership, these are the
4.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that insight.
Pleasure. So thank you. I mean, with that, now I turn towards academia. How, specifically taking example of IIHMR, your curriculum keeps shaping or reshaping. What changes you need to bring when the business scenario changes and the expectations from the leaders is, changing every year or two?
Thank you for asking this question. This is very relevant. At IIHMR Bangalore, we follow a very comprehensive approach when it comes to design a curriculum and update that on a periodic basis. So one source is industry experts. We keep inviting industry experts to our campus. And we invite academicians from other institutions which offer the similar kind of program. For example, today we had a launch of our program PGDM in Pharma Management. So for that, we invited industry experts who come from sales and marketing from pharma side. We invited people who have expertise in regulatory affairs, who have expertise in consulting side. Also, we invited professors from other colleges like IIHMR Jaipur. They are into pharma management for the last 20 years. we invited them as well in the panel. And we also invited some of our alumni who have been the part of pharma management specialization, and now they are the part of the industry. And we also included our internal faculties, and then we had a deliberation, right, that what are the topics which must be the part of our curriculum, which are the topics we need to remove, and which are the topics we need to make some modification. Because we understand that after doing MBA, PGDM, all students actually, they want a job. So our responsibility is to make them industry ready. And that we can do only with such kind of deliberations. So that we do. And we understand this is not the one-time process. We do it every year. Like we have been offering PGDM in hospital and health management for the last 15, 16 years. So far, we have convocated 14, 15 batches. And our record shows that we have been providing, 100% placement. Although we don't claim that, but the record shows that we have been providing 100% placement. And it has been possible because we do that kind of exercise, not one time, it is ongoing process. Every year before the commencement of the new academic calendar, we do this exercise. And also, this is about the curriculum design and update. And for every module, what we do, we invite industry expert to have 1 or 2 sessions so that our students, they get an idea about what is happening in industry, right? So they get a better insight. This is how we prepare our students.
Thank you. I think even I feel, being a member from the industry, that a constant interaction between industry and institute is the most fruitful way of kind of fine-tuning the curriculum in order to make it more relevant, so that the industry also feels more confident in hiring the students from there. Thank you for sharing that.
One thing is, taking the help in designing the curriculum. Second is the execution part. So we believe in execution as well. So as I said, that we keep inviting them to the campus and they take classes. Also, we focus on the hands-on project. We focus on capstone project so that they get more practical exposure. Yeah.
Thank you. So, thank you for sharing your strategic perspective. We have a soft bell saying time is getting up. Okay. To make the best use of last 5-6 minutes, before I invite any questions from the audience, if I look towards panelists, what is that one advice you have for audience today? What is that one capability, if they hone up in the next 360 days, they would be more closer to aspire themselves if they are already working in an organization to look up next level, or if they are students to looking forward for an entry into industry? What is that one skill in addition to AI capability? What is that one skill which they should be honing up? What's your advice?
Firstly, I mean, I personally don't think that AI is really going to change dramatic perspectives and on-ground realities by the time all of them are finding their jobs and their feet. So I think that's important for you because everybody is very AI doom scenario creating over here. So I think that's not going to happen. But I feel 2 key aspects that I am finding missing in recruits that we are trying to identify is curiosity, as someone mentioned in the previous panel, and ownership. I think these 2 things, if you manage to find your voice for being curious about why there's another problem, and when you make a mistake, standing up and owning it, you'll be a leader someday or the other in some form or the other.
Awesome. The advice is, bingo. Own it up and be curious. Thank you. Before I come to Professor Shams, I look towards Abhishek.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably one practical advice I can give you is always ask, what are the objectives of my boss, right? What is he trying to achieve? What are his goals? Because I think a lot of time people sort of get siloed into whatever it is they think their task is. And I think zooming out is very important to understand what is your boss trying to do, what is the department trying to do, what is the organization trying to do. You might not be able to influence all of that, but remember the goal is eventually to increase your circle of influence, to do what one day your boss will be doing, to do what one day his boss will be doing. So it's important to understand that what matters to which stakeholder and why. I think that view is important. That is one one advice I have, so maybe ask yourself what will make my boss successful, and then at least know that, even if you decide not to help him or her achieve that, right? The second thing is similarly zoom out and see what is happening in the world around you, right? What's happening with India as a country, as a society, what's happening in your domain, what is going on in your domain? How are things working out? You know, there is this extremely inspiring story in Pharma of what Mr. Varaprasad Reddy has achieved with Shanta Biotech. You should explore what that means for us, the country. And I think what we are seeing is also, just to sort of take 30 seconds more, what we are seeing is all of us have grown up in an era of globalization, when I think globalization was the norm. Interdependencies were celebrated, right? The whole world was becoming dependent on each other and was surprisingly okay with it. And I think what we are seeing is the headwinds of a change where this is reversing. And I think that means that the next 20 years, when your careers will play out, this sort of will change things for you, where the focus will be more on independence and sort of where we'll try to reduce dependencies. And it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I don't know how it will play out, but it's important to be aware, as people who are beginning your career, of what other dynamics and energies are playing out in this world and how they might affect you in the future. So yeah, those two things. Hope that makes sense.
Thank you, Abhishek. Those are two smart advices. Look towards Professor Shams. What's your take? What's one advice or two advice you have?
Two advice. Okay. My advice is, they should be very proactive. They should take their life as a project, as they are very young and they have 35, 40 years ahead. So they do a research on that. They should think about their career in the long term, right? So they should spend time on that. They should understand where to go, what are the skills, they need to learn. And they should not wait that someone will come and they'll tell them. They should be proactive because they are mature, right? They already have done their graduation. So they should do their own analysis, research and analysis. That is one thing. Second, they should have a zeal to learn in future, right? The learning is not going to stop anywhere. So people who are going to keep learning, they'll be successful in their life.
Thank you.
Proactiveness and zeal to learn.
Zeal
These
to
are the
learn.
two advices.
Awesome. If you double down on these 6 inputs, what you heard from panelists, definitely it is going to add value for those who are aspiring to become.
We should also ask you to share your 2 inputs so that it becomes 8 inputs.
All right. Okay. So I would like to add one, I think probably it reinforces what he says. What I have seen is someone who is curious to learn more than others. Compete with yourself, and the future is going to come faster towards you. That's one, advice I have. Thank you. So if not 8, we have 7. Thank you so much, panelists. This was awesome interactions. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Should we?
Yes. So I'm looking towards audience. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help you get response from the panelists.
They're working on the 7 already.
All right. Okay. Okay. I take the first. Gen Z comes with one big plus, that they are pretty fast. Okay. It's easy to advise, but however, I would ask them to probably take small pauses in between in their pace of growth, aspirations, because everything takes little time before they achieve it what they want to achieve. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Please feel free.
From my perspective, I think they are more centered than I was. So I think keep doing what you're doing, and I think we will see the most diverse workforce in the next 20 years, judging by the number of women in this room compared to the number of men.
Wow, that was good one.
Yeah, so my observation about them is they always look for shortcut. My suggestion would be they should not focus on shortcut. You will learn about that over the time. So start learning from scratch. Over time, when you have experience, you will come to know about the shortcut.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much advice for Gen Z. Maybe they can do some reverse mentoring for me. I'm looking forward to it. 6, 7.
I would also love to have a Gen Z, dictionary. My kids keep saying, Dad, you don't understand our language. I would love to. Thank you. That was an interesting question. Any other question? Okay, they are silently saying time's up. Thank you, everyone.
So much.
Thank you for those valuable perspectives, sirs, and on especially the perspectives on the importance of maintaining a balance on leadership being developed in an organization and from outside the organization, along with the importance of decision making in leadership, along with the significance of correct judgment, ambiguity, questioning, curiosity, ownership, and domain knowledge, the value of agility in leadership, and concluding that leaders are not made in one night. Rather, there is a desired, dedicated journey behind building a true leadership.
So that's very reassuring that at least one person was listening.
Thank you, sir. We now proceed to felicitate our panelists in appreciation of their valuable contributions. May I request Mr. K.S. Srinivas to present a token of appreciation to the panel members. I further request Dr. Deepa Sri M.R., Assistant Professor, IIHMR Bangalore, to acknowledge Mr. K.S. Srinivas in appreciation for sharing his perspectives and valuable time. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Now, I would like to call again Dr. Naina for the further quiz for this panel discussion.
Okay. Let's keep it tight. The attendance in the room is reducing minute by minute. I know we are getting late, but still, everybody would love me, ma'am. Not like, everybody would love my presence. So let's keep it light. One of our panelists gave a very different definition of what culture and workplace is. If somebody can make other panelists, if somebody can repeat that sentence, we need almost 2 to 3 seconds. If at least one sentence can be repeated, I will give it. Is that right, sir?
Ethics over rules.
No. He is not giving away the prize. Anybody else? It was very simple. Sorry? Sir, if I say? No, if I say, would I get a prize from you? Yes, yes. Yes, anybody? See, she's not ready to give it to me. Yes?
Fake it till you make it.
Sorry?
Fake it till you make it.
That was in the last panel discussion. Oh my God. You had a sound sleep, you know, or a short nap. Yes? Second prize. Okay.
About diversity.
Why are we going wrong? I thought this was a very easy answer. Yeah. Okay, last chance. Anybody else? Now I give you a chance. See, a panelist here gave a very simple definition of what culture at workplace mean. Culture. Anybody? Yes, ma'am.
Traditional and ethics.
Is it so, sir? Yes, yes, yes. You can please raise hands. How many hour times you want? I still have time. You still have time. And tomorrow is a holiday.
It's about Obama's.
They are too technical, sir.
Judgment is Hamlet.
Somebody else talked about Obama. Yes, yes. Unless if it is not difficult, the problem doesn't reach my table is what the statement he made. But I'm talking about the other panelist here. No? Okay. Usha doesn't want to give it up. Yes, this morning he had missed one actually.
I think he said that he listened to your boss's mind, and that's what he was talking about.
No, that was for a shortcut for success is what he said. Even if you don't want to help your boss, know what your boss wants or what does he does too. See? No? Okay, I keep it for, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. No worries.
Following unwritten rules.
I was just waiting for that word. Please come, sir. Usha ma'am, he deserves a prize. See? We can compete with Gen Zs. I am also not a Gen Z. Yes, thank you. In one of the sessions in the morning, one of the chief guests spoke about the dosage of insulin. He said, when the insulin was introduced, initially we were giving so many doses in a day, and now we are coming up. Yes, if you have raised your hands, come here or talk to me. Now it is once a week. So what was the initial dose? How many doses? I saw the first hand. Yes, please. 6 times. So which was the year he mentioned? Okay. Another simple question. I don't know, with so many technical questions being answered, if another simple question is heard. The morning, one of our chief guests spoke about 3 Qs. AQ, GQ, CQ. What were those 3 Qs? No. Already, if you have won the prize, let me not give a chance. There is a student, ma'am. Are you a student? No. Because she's asking since morning to give away one prize. Yes, student, yes, come. You have a competitor.
IQ, EQ, and DQ.
What are those? Please elaborate them for me.
IQ is intelligence quotient.
What came first, IQ, EQ, or DQ?
IQ.
IQ came first. Then EQ is?
Diligence.
EQ is?
Emotional.
Come. So how many more prizes we have? We have one for Dr. Jyoti. We will. Yes. Yeah. Yes, when we were discussing about data, what is the portion that health sector takes away? No price. It remains with me. Okay, so which other sector other than health is stands ahead in data? There was another sector named by one of the guests here. He was the panelist in one of the decisions. Sir, you already won, sir. Yes. Yes, please come.
So, hi everyone, I'm Vinayak. I'm working as a competitive intelligence professional at Data Science Bangalore.
So, what percentage of Indian population use smartwatches? This was one of the discussion point. Yes. So, really, sir, let them answer. Yes, yes. Yes, what percentage of Indian population use smartwatch? No, wrong. White shirt. No. I'll give you a prize for this. What percentage? The one who has not got prize can answer. Yes. Come. Or else I would have given it to you, sir. My goodness.
Student in IIHMR Bangalore.
Thank you. And my last question goes like, diagnosis was discussed by one of our speaker. Yes. So which was the disease he named? Go. It's gone. Gone. I'll give it to you, sir.
Cancer.
Thank you so much for being all attentive. Thank you so much for the day. I think, yes, sir. Ma'am should be giving a prize to sir. One to Dr. Jyoti also, ma'am. She's answered all the questions, waiting for one single prize. Big round of applause. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Dr. Nana, for such an interactive quiz sessions. This literally lighten up the mood of the room. Thank you so much.
As we approach the conclusion of this enriching day, I request Dr. Pratap Nair, Professor IIHMR Bangalore, to share the closing remarks, reflecting on the key takeaways and future directions.
Thank you very much. I think only our students are available. But anyway, before I start the discussion about the Gen Z is very fresh in the mind, so I would share my thought. When I think about the naughtiest thing which I did in the Gen Z, my age, I think today there is no Gen Z. That time I was a Gen Z. Sanjay Gandhi was a Gen Z. So a lot of he actually, without a commercial pilot license, he ventured into, flying a helicopter. So there's nothing called Gen Z existing. Those days we were the Gen Zs, now it's you. Or even the positive things. When I think about the fastest thing which I did, I belong to the Gen Z of today then. So this is my concluding remarks, but I would like to call it as a beginning remark. Basically because of two reasons. One, we have never seen these kind of conferences where there's a perfect synergy between the industry and the academia. So this is my remarks, not for the conclusion, but for the new beginning. So my gratitude to the visionary leaders of IIHMR, distinguished panelists and speakers, and industry leaders, and my dear students. As we come to the close of this Pharmatech Converge organized by IIHMR, we conclude not just a conference. We take forward a powerful exchange of ideas that has challenged us to think bigger, act faster, and also innovate smarter. And today's discussion, actually, we started by the solo speech on AI, especially AI in the area of drug discovery, and then later on by Bhaskar Rajkumar on the digital power. So what we actually conclude is that we are sitting on the potential of becoming number one in India as well as number one in the world. As we become the IT capital of the world, there is a huge potential which we have to, unlock the potential. That is one of the conclusion. And please be aware of the fact that, and please be internalize and be happy with the fact that, you are started it. Maybe years later, you might tell your kids or the grandchildren that we have started this. We were the part of the first few conferences. Now, reimagining pharma, transitioning from traditional generics to transformative therapy. So today's discussion was clearly demonstrated that pharmaceutical and healthcare sector, we are standing at a defining moment. And this reminded us that India has become the pharmacy of the world, but that is not enough. Okay, at the same time, to realize the Viksit Bharat vision or the goal of 2047, India at 100 years, we must transition ourselves into the innovation hub of the world. Then we discussed about the GCC revolution. The point which actually came out is that, GCC was began by one of the person in India. He was a part of the discussion. And in the last 20 years, GCC itself has transitioned. So we have the global capability centers becoming the growth engine for research, analytics, digital transformation, and also global value creation in all departments of pharmaceutical industry. And finally, Srinivas and Shams are actually cracking the code on identifying the future leaders of pharma. Now, that part highlighted tomorrow's leaders. We need more than technical knowledge, but we also combine the scientific knowledge with empathy, agility, ethics, courage, and culture. And of course, the AI in the drug discovery, there is an immediate scope for us to work with one of the speakers. And finally, it binds all this conversation together to one common message. The future belongs to those who innovate, collaborate, and prepare the talent for the future. A special appreciation to all the students and very young professionals present today. You are not just attendees of this conference, you are the architect of the future healthcare system. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. As we near the conclusion of today's insightful session, I request Dr. Subodh S. Satish, Assistant Professor, IIHMR Bangalore, to reflect on the key learnings and road ahead as a vote of thanks for the event.
Good evening to all. It is my proud privilege to propose vote of thanks for Pharmatech Converge 2026 organized by IIHMR Bangalore. At this outset, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed Chief Guest, Mr. Sudarshan Jain, Secretary General, Indian Pharmaceutical Alliance, and Chairman, IIHMR University, for the inspiring presence and insightful address that set the tone for today's conclave. We are deeply thankful to our distinguished guest of honor, Mr. Vikram, Corporate Vice President and Managing Director, Novo Nordisk India Private Limited, for sharing his valuable perspectives and enriching this platform. I would also like to sincerely acknowledge Sri Sritvik Ranjanam Pandey, IAS Principal Secretary to Government, Department of Health, Government of Karnataka, and Dr. S.T. Gupta, President, IIHMR Society Jaipur, for their constant support and encouragement. Though they could not join us today, their guidance and association with this event is deeply valued. I extend my respectful thanks to our esteemed dignitaries, Dr. Usha Manjunath, Professor and Director, IIHMR Bangalore, for her leadership and vision in organizing this conclave. Professor S. Sadagobin, Visiting Distinguished Professor, IIHMR Bangalore, and former Director, IIITB Bangalore, for his valuable presence and insights. Dr. C.S. Kedar IAS, retired, Senior Advisor, IIHMR Bangalore, and former Director General, ESIC, for his continued guidance and support. A special note of appreciation to all our panel moderators and panelists. Mr. Anup Sons, founder editor, Medicine Man. Mr. Varadarajan Satyamurthy, Executive Vice President, HR, Commercial Excellence and LOD, Microlabs Limited. Dr. Anju Mishra, Vice President, Pharma Research and Analytics, C5I. Mr. Mohan Devdiga, Chief Operating Officer, Graphene AI. Mr. Vikrant Gill, Senior Director, Marketing and Insights, OTIA. Mr. Sanjeev Shishu, former CVP, Global Service Center, Novo Nordisk. Mr. Shilpa Ahir, Global Lead, GCC Strategy, Performance and Analytics, Sandoz. Mr. Himanshu Sehgal, Founder and Director Delivery, Octavus Consulting. Mr. Kamaljit Behra, Director, Global Analytics, IQVIA. Mr. K.S. Srinivas, Global Lead, Corporate Learning, Talent Development and Succession, Biocon Biologics Limited. Dr. Vivekanand Chandra Kumar, Regional Head, Administration, Kaveri Hospital. Mr. Abhishek Kumar, CEO, Ripples Learning. Your enriching discussions across 3 panel discussions truly reflected the theme Augmented Intelligence and Transformative Therapies, highlighting the evolving synergy between human expertise and advanced technologies in the pharmaceutical industry. We are equally grateful to our distinguished speakers, Dr. Bhaskar Rajkumar, Physician Leader CEO, Charaka and Program Director, ARPAC, Ms. Rubal Sabawal, Founder and Principal Consultant, Rubal Sabawal Advisory, for their insightful presentations on digital health, AI, and emerging technologies shaping the future of pharma. Our sincere thanks to all industry leaders, academicians, and participants whose active engagement made this conclave a vibrant platform for dialogue and collaboration. We also take immense pride in successful launch of PGDM Pharmaceutical Management program at IIHMR Bangalore, a significant milestone aimed at nurturing future-ready professionals for evolving pharmaceutical ecosystem. I would also like to acknowledge our industry partners, media partners, and entire organizing team, including conveners, co-conveners, faculty members, student volunteers, organizing committee members, whose dedicated efforts ensured the seamless execution of this event. I would also like to thank press, TV, digital media for this evening, this in conclusion. I thank the Capital Hotel for providing the best facilities. Finally, I extend my heartfelt thanks to everyone who contributed directly and indirectly for making PharmaTech Converge 2026 a grand success. With this, I conclude. Thank you, everyone. Wishing you a pleasant day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I request everyone to please stand up for the national anthem.
जनगणनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you so much, everyone. I request you to please give us valuable feedback, and you can download your e-certificate